Chapter 2695. The Great Emperor was an existence that suppressed the ages and swept through the 8 desolations. Who didn't want to become the Great Emperor? Moreover, they were all geniuses. No one would completely admire the others. They all thought that their strength was unparalleled. However, there was no publicly acknowledged number 1. But now, someone had actually pushed out the number 1 of the 5 continents. This directly pushed these 5 people into the heart of the storm. Eastern Sage, Western Buddha, Southern Emperor, Northern Demon, and Central Emperor. Eastern Sage, of course, referred to the Eastern Barren Territories Saint Physique Yi Wudao. West Buddha referred to Holy Sun Wuchen of the West Desert's Thousand Buddha Temple. South Emperor Yen Nantian of the Yen family of the South Mountains. It was rumored that he had obtained the inheritance of the Great Emperor. No one knew the name of the Northern Demon, but it was rumored that he possessed the bloodline of one of the 10 ancient ferocious beasts. It was rumored that he had set out once, and it truly was the result of 10,000 beasts submitting, none of them daring to resist. Central Emperor. The Central Continent was famous for its imperial dynasty. However, the imperial dynasty did not refer to a prince, nor did it refer to the imperial dynasty's sacred lords. It referred to a young man. Lin Xian. Emperor was not a member of the imperial family but an emperor. 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. Emperors and emperors were the same. They were both existences that had reached the peak. However, the title of emperor was even more precious. These 5 youngsters were praised to the skies. However, what followed was the jealousy of countless geniuses. One had to know that as top prodigies, no one was willing to submit to another. Moreover, the true spirit continent was simply too vast. There were countless heroes and geniuses. Who would dare to claim to be number 1 under the heavens? But now, someone actually went crazy and gave the 5 of them heaven-defying titles. It was said that the future great emperor would be born from these 5 people. How could the people of the world accept this? One should know that even though the 5 of them were top-tier geniuses as well, there were way too many geniuses who were no weaker than them. The number 1 prodigy of the battle race, the peerless genius of the celestial race, the divine body of the Gu family, and the born Tao aptitude of the Tao One Holy Land. The Central State's Dragon Emperor physique. There were too many of them. Although he couldn't say that he could win against them, he could definitely stand shoulder to shoulder with them and reach the same peak. However, someone just had to choose 5 people. How could the remaining peerless geniuses tolerate this? Damn it, who was it that actually sent out such a message? For a moment, the Yi family was not excited, but their faces were gloomy. Leaf Dao Denier had just been hunted down, and had narrowly escaped death. But now, only a few years later, someone was pushing Leaf Dao Denier into the eye of the storm. What was he trying to do? They didn't believe that someone was actually praising Leaf Dao Denier. It was clearly a soft stab at him, a way to incur the displeasure of everyone under heaven. Apparently, Leaf Dao Denier was going to be in big trouble in the future. Eastern Sage. This title was equivalent to the number 1 person among the younger generation in the Eastern Wilderness. The Eastern Barren Territory was vast and there were many geniuses. It was even possible that some of the older generation figures would assassinate them in order to pave the way for the later generation of disciples. Not only the Yi clan but the other clans as well. Nanling and the Yen family were also on high alert. In the Western Desert, the 10,000 Buddha Temple was also secretly investigating. Who was the one who spread this news? The northern demons of the northern plains had disappeared without a trace. The other party was simply too mysterious. Up until now, no one had been able to clearly see who the northern demon was. The middle continent was in an uproar. The central continent had always considered itself the center of the true spirit world, looking down on the other 4 continents. It could be said to be the place with the most outstanding people in the true spirit world. There were many spirit veins and countless dragon veins. There were also many powerful experts. Not only were there many sacred grounds but there were also terrifying clans. There were also divine dynasties. Each and every one of those dynasties was terrifying beyond compare. They had even produced ancient emperors and had left behind ultimate weapons. But now, their descendants, their princes, weren't crowned as the number 1 person. The one who was called the Middle Emperor was actually someone else. Someone who didn't belong to any dynasty. Lin Xian. Damn it. What did he do to deserve the title of Middle Emperor? The princes of the Tai dynasty all went crazy, and they all roared furiously. The empress screamed at the top of her lungs. There was an irreconcilable hatred between her and Lin Xian. However, not only had he survived her many attempts to kill him, but he had also become the Middle Emperor. Now he was even called the Middle Emperor. One had to know that the title of emperor couldn't be used carelessly. Even the sacred lords of the divine dynasties didn't dare to use the title of emperor, because the title of emperor was too special. Only extremely terrifying great emperors or those who had made great contributions to the world could be given the title of emperor. It could be said that the emperor was a supreme existence among the great emperors. There were many ancient great emperors, but there were very few who were truly emperors. Therefore, everyone was crazy about the title of middle emperor and valued it greatly. It wasn't just the Tai dynasty. The other dynasties, especially the princes, all declared that they would kill Lin Xian with their own hands. In addition to these dynasties, countless geniuses in the central continent also set out to search for Lin Xian crazily. Lin Xian didn't accompany the dark red divine dragon all the time. He had already returned to the immortal palace to prepare to cultivate in the Qinling Mountains. After all, when the nest of 10,000 dragons opened, there would be an intense battle. Therefore he had to seize the opportunity to improve his strength. But on this day he was woken up. Outside, the elders of the immortal palace were transmitting voice transmissions over and over again. It seemed that something had happened. This surprised Lin Xian. What was going on? Lin Xian frowned. Could it be that there was a new breakthrough in the nest of 10,000 dragons? No, Palace Master, come out quickly. Something bad has happened. What happened? Lin Xian was puzzled. He came out of seclusion and rushed to the Starry Hall. At this moment, countless elders were gathered in the Starry Hall. Peacock, Hu Yidao, Guili, and other geniuses were also standing there with anxious expressions. When they saw Lin Xian arrive, they hurriedly shouted to pay their respects to the Palace Master. Get up. Lin Xian waved his hand. What's going on? What exactly happened? Palace Master, take a look at this first. Peacock took out a jade scroll and handed it over. Lin Xian probed with his soul power and quickly browsed through it. What was this? In the next moment he was stunned. Because what was recorded was the news about his title of Middle Emperor. Who released this? Lin Xian retracted his soul power and asked with a frown. His expression wasn't very good because he could naturally understand that someone was targeting the five of them. He didn't know. The news was spread half a year ago, but no one knew where it came from. Moreover, in the past half a year, it had spread to every corner of the true spirit world. Everyone in the streets and alleys knew about the five titles. Palace Master, this person is too vicious. He didn't make a move himself and wanted to use the methods of the world to get rid of the five of you. That's right, those immortal palace elders also had solemn expressions. The Eastern Wasteland's sacred body had unlimited potential. Once it grew up, it would be an existence comparable to a great emperor. Chapter 2696. It was said that Yen Nantian of the southern mountains had obtained the inheritance of the great emperor. The northern beasts were the descendants of one of the 10 great ancient beasts. As for you, you displayed the 9 yang divine body a year ago. That's a lost divine body. After cultivating it, it's not weaker than a sacred body. Naturally, you'll be targeted by others. I'm afraid they don't want you to grow. Indeed. The elder was right. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He did not expect to be targeted. Moreover, they used such a method. However, that person thought too highly of him. He gave him too much face and directly called him Central Emperor. Most likely, the few great dynasties of the Central Plains would all go crazy. What's the situation outside? Lin Xian asked. Hu Yidao sighed. The situation is very bad. According to our intelligence, the princes of the various divine empires all want to fight the Palace Master. Not only that, the other peerless geniuses also said that they want to fight the Palace Master to the death. Among them, the number 1 genius of the war tribe even said something ruthless. Other than that, there's also the heavenly human race's little Sky King. Every top genius is very difficult to deal with. What should we do? How about this? We'll deny it and say that someone is joking. An elder suggested it. However, Lin Xian shook his head. No, since he gave me the title of Central Emperor, I'll accept it. As for the challenges, if they're not afraid of death, they can come. He sneered, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. Did these people really think that he only had the 9 yang divine body? He also had the great dragon sword soul, which had the highest attack power. He was determined to get the title of Central Emperor. No, Palace Master. It's too risky. There would probably be endless battles in the future. In the past, when he didn't have this title, everyone was at peace with each other. But now that he has this title, he has become the target of all the geniuses of middle ground. Yes, if they defeat him, they will be able to obtain this title. This is a supreme honor for them. Therefore, I'm afraid that those people will go crazy and challenge you. It's fine. Lin Xian waved his hand. You just have to guarantee that those old monsters won't jump out to kill me. He was not worried about the younger generation. Instead, he was worried about the old monsters in the top forces. If there was a saint who really didn't like him and jumped out to kill him, he really wouldn't be able to resist. That was why, as long as Immortal Palace could stop these old monsters, he had confidence in sweeping through the younger generation. He would let everyone know who the young emperor of Central State was. This. All the elders were stunned. Peacock and the other elders' minds were blank. They looked at Lin Xian's confident and calm face. For a long time they were speechless. In the end, those elders sighed. "All right, Palace Master, don't worry. We will use all of Immortal Palace's power to protect your safety. You would definitely not let any old monster succeed in a sneak attack." It wasn't just Lin Xian's side. The Yi family and the other titled families from the other 4 continents also made statements. The main thing was that saint-level people were forbidden from attacking, and Invincible King was also forbidden from carrying a complete holy weapon in pursuit. Once they discovered him, they would kill him instantly at all costs. However, they weren't at ease because this thing could intimidate existences with powerful backgrounds. But if some rogue cultivators or saints without sects really attacked and hid for thousands of years, they really wouldn't be able to find them. That was why from now on they assigned countless experts to Yi Wudao and the others. "Lin Xian, get the hell out here. You are not worthy of being called Central Emperor. I will definitely cut you down with my blade." The War Race's #1 prodigy spoke. Immediately, Central State was shaken. The War Race was an ancient race. The War Race's #1 prodigy was definitely incomparably terrifying, one of the most terrifying prodigies. At this moment he declared that he would kill Lin Xian. This caused everyone to be shocked and excited. They knew that a heaven-shaking battle was about to happen. After the War Race's #1 prodigy spoke, the Celestial Race's Little Sky King also jumped out, declaring that he would wipe away his humiliation. He would kill Lin Xian. His injuries had long since healed. However, he couldn't swallow the anger in his heart. Previously he had lost to Lin Xian at the Nacre Lake. It was the greatest humiliation of his life, and he wanted to pay it back with his own hands. The princes and crown princes of the various empires were furious, all of them wanting to challenge Lin Xian. Apart from the princes, there was one more person. It was the twin kings of Central State. He hadn't appeared for many years. Ever since he lost to Lin Xian in the ancient tomb, he had disappeared. In fact, he had gone into seclusion. This time he had made substantial progress, so he came out of seclusion and appeared in the Middle Continent. However, when he came out and learned that Lin Xian had obtained the title of Central Emperor, he was furious. After all, he was known as the Twin Kings of Central State. He was extremely terrifying in the Middle Continent, and basically no one was a match for him. Except for the fact that he lost to Lin Xian. Therefore this time he wanted to wipe away his humiliation. Countless geniuses wanted to fight Lin Xian for the title of Central Emperor. In fact, it wasn't just Lin Xian. Yi Wudao also received many challenges. Many saints' sons and geniuses came to provoke him. The South the Arch and the North Buddha were also challenged. The one who had the easiest time should be the mysterious North Demon. Even if someone wanted to challenge him, they couldn't find any trace of him. Moreover, those who wanted to challenge him were probably from the beast race. Of course, the northern plains was vast and geniuses came out in large numbers. Therefore, there were also people who wanted to challenge North Beast for the title of #1. For a moment, the entire True Spirit continent was in a state of chaos. A great war was about to break out. The people of Qinling also received the news. However, they couldn't leave now. Dark Red Dragon God was controlling the formation as he exclaimed repeatedly. "Damn, such a wonderful thing actually happened. Damn, why don't you give me a title? I want the title of Dragon Emperor." He used his skills with all his might, trying to break the formation seal as soon as possible. The others were also shocked. Murong Qingqing, Shinjingqiu, and the others were also worried for Lin Xian. They communicated with Lin Xian several times and Lin Xian told them not to worry. This made the two girls feel more at ease because Lin Xian seemed to be very confident. In another place, Beast Emperor Palace was also gnashing their teeth. Damn it, North Beast's title actually didn't belong to their Beast Emperor Palace. This was intolerable. Damn it, even if it wasn't Chengdu, it should be Yen Ruyu. After all, Yen Ryu's identity. An elder was so angry that he almost spilled the beans, but was stopped by the others. Another expert said, "It's nothing. I'm afraid only we know how terrifying Yen Ryu's identity is. How could the person who spread the news know? Therefore it's normal that he didn't enter the rankings. Moreover, can't you see? This ranking is extremely murderous. It's obvious that he wants to kill these 5 peak geniuses. Therefore, being on the list wasn't necessarily a good thing. Not being on the list could actually save one's life. Chapter 2697. That's right, Humph, let's see if they can hold on. Many people sneered again and again. Sure enough, Lin Xian and the rest were very dangerous. When Lin Xian left the Immortal Palace and appeared outside, he immediately received an impact. You're Lin Xian? In front, endless spiritual energy rolled, turning into an azure dragon rolling over. There was a figure standing on top of the azure dragon phantom. A youth wearing a yellow robe looking down on the world. I'm the 9th prince of the Divine Wind Empire. The youth's voice was cold, his gaze sharp like a heavenly blade. Give me your title of Central Emperor and announce it to the world. I can spare your life. He was very conceited and arrogant, hands behind his back, never looking Lin Xian in the eye. Who do you think you are? How dare you use the title of Central Emperor? This title only belongs to our royal family. To your royal family? What a joke. This emperor is not the emperor of the royal family, but the emperor of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. Can your royal family afford to use it? Lin Xian was not moved at all. He was already prepared to welcome the challenge of the heroes of the world. How could he easily give up the title of Central Emperor? I'll give you a chance to live, scram. If you dare to block my path again, be careful that I'll kill you. Lin Xian's voice was cold. The 9th prince of the Divine Wind Empire was also angry. Looks like you really don't know life from death. Fine, the title of Central Emperor will be taken back by me personally. The 9th prince snorted coldly, took a step out and instantly arrived in front of Lin Xian. He waved his palm, slapping at Lin Xian. This palm was seriously too terrifying, shattering the void, making people feel despair. The 9th prince of the Divine Wind Empire was a very terrifying heaven's pride. His strength was very strong, not weaker than a holy sun. Even among the holy sun level heaven's prides, he also belonged to the top existence. Apart from this, he also had a greatest reliance, and that was his bloodline power. As everyone knew, the royal family members all possessed bloodline power. But this 9th prince's bloodline power was very powerful. He relied on his powerful bloodline power to cultivate the peerless divine ability, Divine Wind Azure Dragon Body. This was an extremely terrifying physique. It was so powerful that no one could predict it. Therefore, the casual palm strike of the 9th prince of Divine Wind was extremely shocking. The 9th prince of Divine Wind didn't come alone. Of course, he didn't bring any other princes with him. But when he came out, he rode the Azure Dragon's phantom. Although it was condensed from the aura of the Tao of Dragon and was not a real dragon, the sight was simply too spectacular. It attracted the attention of countless people along the way. When everyone found out that this was the 9th prince of Divine Wind, and that his goal was to challenge Lin Xian, they were shocked. Countless warriors followed. They did not want to miss such a world-shaking battle. Therefore, when the 9th prince of the Divine Wind struck out with his palm, the martialists in the distance were all stunned. How terrifying. The 9th prince of Divine Wind was actually so terrifying. That's right. In the Central State Empire there were many outstanding people. None of them could be underestimated. The 9th prince of Divine Wind was not that famous before. He didn't expect it to be so terrifying. I feel that this time's ranking will probably draw out many hidden monsters. That's for sure. Just wait, a storm is about to sweep through. I wonder how many challenges that Lin Xian can withstand? Why do I feel that he won't be able to withstand even one challenge? You underestimate him too much. The 9-yang divine body is an extremely terrifying physique. It's not any weaker than a saint body. Therefore, I still think highly of Lin Xian. Moreover, his Tao of Sword is truly terrifying. You haven't experienced it personally, but I have seen it with my own eyes. When the time comes you'll know. Many people supported the 9th prince, but there were more people who supported Lin Xian. Facing the 9th prince of Divine Wind's shocking palm strike, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He felt a trace of threat. This was truly an era where geniuses were born. The 9th prince was actually so powerful. But so what? He snorted coldly. In the next moment he activated the 9-yang divine body. Thousands of rays of light bloomed. He stood in the void like a golden god of war. He clenched his hand into a fist and punched out. The supreme innate technique of the war race, the heavenly battle god fist, was executed by him. This fist contained an indomitable might that seemed capable of destroying the heavens and earth. Boom, boom. The fist and palm collided. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The surrounding space quickly cracked. Not good. Retreat quickly. The people who were watching the battle from afar tore the void apart and quickly retreated tens of thousands of miles away. It was just a casual attack from the two of them, but it caused such a terrifying scene. Lin Xian and the ninth Prince of Divine Wind were really terrifying. "Take my royal heaven battling divine fist," shouted the ninth Prince of Divine Wind furiously. He punched out with his fist, and a destructive chi filled the air, as if he was the sole ruler of this world. At this moment he was like an invincible emperor. If God or Buddha blocked his path, he would kill Buddha. This aura stunned the martial artists who were watching the battle from afar. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "You want to obtain the title of Middle Emperor with just you?" The difference was too great. Lin Xian waved his fist and pressed forward. In the past year of seclusion, Lin Xian had made use of natural treasures to improve his 9-yang divine body to the 5th stage of the 1st stage. At this moment, his physique had grown stronger. Therefore he was not afraid of the shockwaves. Boom, 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 boom. His fist was like the sun shining in all directions. The terrifying force tore apart all the palms. "Is this all you've got?" "It's just this also," Lin Xian said coldly. His fist was like a dragon. It let out a loud dragon roar and forced the ninth Prince of Divine Wind to retreat with a punch. The ninth Prince of Divine Wind's blood was boiling as he smashed through the void. "You're really strong. No wonder someone gave you the title of Middle Emperor. However, I'm going to get this title today. I'll let you see my Azure Dragon Divine Wind body." Boom, boom, boom. The ninth Prince of Divine Wind stepped on the Azure Dragon. His black hair fluttered in the wind. The yellow robe on his body shook continuously. With a roar, dragon marks appeared on his body. The dragon shadow under his feet roared and wrapped around the ninth Prince's body. In the next moment, the ninth Prince of Divine Wind underwent a shocking change. Dragon tattoos even appeared on his body, and his physique had turned green. An extremely terrifying power burst forth from his body. It was as if the ninth Prince of Divine Wind had turned into a human-shaped dragon at this moment. With a punch, the ninth Prince of Divine Wind shattered the fists of the sun. Then he looked at Lin Xian. "Kid, go to hell. What kind of physique is this? Azure Dragon Divine Wind body." He had actually cultivated the Divine Wind dynasty's peerless divine ability. In the distance the experts exclaimed. His physique was extremely terrifying. It was said that it was a divine ability left behind by the founding monarch of the Divine Wind dynasty. What? A divine ability left behind by the founding monarch? Everyone's eyelids twitched when they heard that. They wondered which one was stronger, the 9-yang divine body or the Azure Dragon Divine Wind body. It was hard to say. After all, the 9-yang divine body had disappeared for tens of thousands of years. They had only heard of its power in rumors. Chapter 2698. In front of him, a palm strike shook the heavens and earth. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he saw the other party use his ultimate technique. What Azure Divine Dragon body? It can't even withstand a single blow from me. 9-yang divine body erupt. Lin Xian clenched his fists and roared at the sky. The 9-yang divine body erupted with an unparalleled light. Countless rays of light hung down from his body and pierced through the void. Around him, divine flames formed by light danced wildly. Every time it danced, it brought with it an unparalleled power. Heavenly God Fist. 9 suns opened the sky. Both of them used their great divine abilities and directly attacked each other. Boom. The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The void couldn't withstand this power at all. That was because these two physiques were too terrifying. The 9-yang divine body was like the sun war god's physique. Once this physique was used, it could sweep through everything. The Azure Dragon body was also very terrifying. It was left behind by the founding monarch of the Divine Wind dynasty. It was definitely a shocking great divine ability. Moreover, in order to practice the Azure Divine Dragon body, the 9th Prince used the blood of a peerless demon king to temper his body every day. He was confident that his body was no weaker than a saint physique. Not to mention the other party's 9-yang divine body. Azure Dragon Break. The 9th Prince used his ultimate technique. With a boom, the spiritual energy within a radius of tens of thousands of miles quickly spread and merged into the fist. In the next moment, the terrifying fist enveloped the world. The surrounding void was filled with countless fist shadows, emitting an incomparably terrifying power. Kill. With a roar, the Azure Dragon Break charged over. This was a very terrifying killing move that could easily kill a peerless almighty. The 9th Prince was even confident that he could use this move to contend against an unparalleled king. Today I'll let you experience the true power of the 9-yang divine body. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Countless runes flickered on his body, erupting with a piercing cold light. The light turned into a sharp sword that pierced in all directions. At this moment the people in the distance all trembled. They couldn't help but want to kneel forward. It's too terrifying. How can that kid's aura be so terrifying? Why can't I control my body? These people screamed crazily. The light on Lin Xian's body became more and more resplendent, as if a sun had descended to the mortal world, shining so brightly that people couldn't open their eyes. On the opposite side, the ninth prince's expression changed as well. He could feel that his body was trembling slightly. The blood and qi in his body seemed to be solidifying. Damn it, break for me! He roared, and endless energy rushed out of his body. The shadow of the azure dragon coiled around his body, resisting the terrifying pressure. It was too terrifying. It was like a pressure that came from the soul. It was so oppressive that he couldn't even raise his head. Is this the nine-yang divine body? It was too terrifying. As expected of the legendary divine body, it was indeed terrifying. Nine Suns' divine fist. Lin Xian made his move. He was like a supreme war god of the sun as he brandished his fists. No one could describe this punch because no words could describe how terrifying this punch was. The spectators from afar felt as though the world was collapsing. They felt as though they were about to be melted by the sun. That punch was so terrifying that even the ninth prince was trembling. Boom! The divine sun fist and the azure dragon break collided. The heaven and earth were illuminated by countless rays of light. The area within a radius of 1,000,000 miles was filled with terrifying light. Everyone was blasted away by the energy, and they coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. The surrounding mountains continuously collapsed. The earth was split into countless cracks. That punch was so terrifying. Ping ping ping. In the endless light, a figure was sent flying with blood. He smashed through the void, broke several mountains and fell to the ground. Then, the light that filled the sky dissipated like a tide, and all of it entered Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian's body was shining brightly. He looked down and said coldly, "You can't do it." When the ninth prince heard this, he vomited another mouthful of blood. His face was extremely ugly. He lost. He used the divine wind azure dragon body and the azure dragon break, but he still couldn't stop his opponent. Is the nine-yang divine body so terrifying? He couldn't believe it. No. Damn it, I don't believe it. The ninth prince roared crazily. Many cracks appeared on his body. Because of his agitation, a large amount of blood appeared. Whoosh! He spat out a spiritual saber, and the terrifying saber light illuminated heaven and earth. Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted. "If you want to fight, I'll accompany you to the end." He took a step forward, and the golden light on his body exploded again. His aura was even more intense than before. Seeing this, the ninth prince trembled, and a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. He became stronger again. His opponent's aura became stronger again. In other words, his opponent didn't use his full strength when he fought with him. Heavens! What was his opponent's limit? At this moment, deep fear appeared in the ninth prince's eyes. This was an emotion that he had never felt before. Since he was young, he had never been afraid of anyone. But now, facing Lin Xian, he was finally afraid. "Elder, go." The ninth prince gritted his teeth and kept his saber. He didn't attack again. Near him, the void cracked, and an old figure appeared and took the ninth prince away. The ninth prince had been defeated and had fled. After a long time, the surrounding people exclaimed. Their faces were filled with astonishment. The ninth prince had been so arrogant when he came, but he had been defeated so quickly. This Lin Xian was too terrifying. As expected of the successor of the nine-yang divine body. No wonder he was listed as the middle emperor. He did have the strength to back it up. The crowd was filled with admiration for Lin Xian, and some were laughing coldly. Just wait, this was only the beginning. The middle continent was vast and there were countless geniuses. There would definitely be a heaven-defying genius who could kill him. He would reclaim the title of middle emperor. The crowd discussed among themselves, but no matter what, they were still in awe of Lin Xian as Lin Xian had won the battle. And it was a beautiful victory. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back, glancing around. Seeing that no one was attacking, he harumphed and flew into the distance. At the same time that Lin Xian was being challenged, Leaf Dao Denier was also being challenged. Yi Wudao hadn't left the clan recently, as the elders of the Yi clan felt that it was too dangerous. They would hide from the limelight for now. They wanted to find out who was the one who released the news. Yi Wudao also felt that he should go into seclusion to prepare for the opening of the nest of 10,000 dragons. However, on this day the Yi clan welcomed an uninvited guest. It was a swordsman in a green robe. His aura was monstrous and he was completely surrounded by sword light. On his back, he carried a green sword that emitted a peerless killing intent. He arrived in front of the Yi clan and didn't force his way in. Instead, he stood in the void and said loudly, "I am the Heavenly Spirit Sword King, and I am here to challenge Eastern Sage Yi Wudao." His voice turned into a sword wave that entered the array formation, causing a rumble. Chapter 2699. Soon, an elder of the Yi family appeared. He floated in the air, frowning as he looked at the green-robed swordsman. Over the past few days, dozens of people had come to challenge Yi family, but many of them had been rejected. They felt that the disparity in strength between the two sides was too great. Those people were no match for Yi Wudao. In fact, they couldn't even block a single move. Even if they challenged him, it would be meaningless. However, the green-robed swordsman in front of them was different. The elder of the Yi family clearly felt a sense of danger. It was obvious that the other party was an expert of the sword. Below, a golden figure soared into the sky. It was Yi Wudao. He looked at the green-robed swordsman below with a piercing light in his eyes. "You're the recently risen Eastern Wilderness Sword King?" "That's right, it's me." The green-robed swordsman nodded. "Very well, I'll fight you." "Very well." Hearing that, the green-robed swordsman smiled. "Let me see if the Saint physique is as powerful as the legends say." Incomparably cold sword light burst out from his body, covering a radius of tens of thousands of miles. All the birds and beasts in the forest below fled. Even the powerful demon kings were kneeling on the ground, trembling. What a terrifying sword chi. This person is very terrifying. Below, countless Yi family disciples also appeared in the surroundings as they looked towards the sky. No matter how terrifying he is, he's no match for Yi Wudao. "That's right, just wait and see. He'll definitely lose." The Yi family disciples discussed animatedly. However, their words didn't affect the celestial spirit Sword King. In the face of such a terrifying sword chi, Yi Wudao calmly faced it. He stood in the air, his body blooming with golden light. Like a golden god of war, their auras collided in the sky. Dozens of mountains around them shattered, turning into boulders that rolled down, stirring up a lot of dust. The elders of the Yi family sucked in a breath of cold air, extremely shocked. The celestial spirit Sword King was indeed powerful. He wasn't a disciple of a sacred land, but a genius of the celestial spirit sect. The celestial spirit sect wasn't a sacred land and it was weaker. However, the celestial spirit Sword King was unusually talented and had recently risen to prominence. His strength wasn't inferior to the saints, and it seemed that he had a peerless opportunity. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to contend with Yi Wudao. This person is so strong. He was able to resist the power of Daoless Saint Body. The geniuses of the Yi family below were also shocked. No wonder he dared to challenge them. He did have some ability. Above, the heavenly spirit sword monarch made his move. He took a step forward, and the endless sword light on his body trembled. Heavenly spirit sword technique. He immediately used the ultimate technique of the celestial spirit sect. Countless sword lights surrounded his body, forming a celestial spirit sword diagram. They condensed in the sky. The entire sky collapsed in an instant, pierced through by tens of thousands of sword chi. The ground below even cracked, unable to withstand it at all. The sword diagram quickly condensed, covering a part of the sky and even replacing the sky. The expressions of the Yi family martial artists below also changed. What a terrifying sword energy. This sword light was too terrifying. Even a peerless almighty would not be able to withstand it. Kiln with a furious roar, the heavenly spirit sword diagram pressed down from the sky. Each sword light was like a huge mountain, bringing with it an incomparably sharp aura, causing the Yi family disciples to tremble. Too powerful. The other party was definitely at the level of a top genius. The Eastern Barren territory was indeed mysterious. He did not expect that other than the Yaoguang Saint and the Daoyi Saint, there was someone else who was so powerful. He had never heard of his name before. He had only risen in recent years. The Yi family disciples below were discussing animatedly. The elders also looked dignified. Yi Wudao was incomparably calm. He snorted coldly and threw out a punch. The golden fist bloomed with light, surging forward like a tide. This punch hit the tens of thousands of sword chi, causing an earth-shattering sound. Countless large cracks appeared, and the sword chi began to tremble rapidly. Many of them directly shattered. Seeing this scene, the Yi family martial artists all breathed a sigh of relief. The Saint Body was indeed powerful. Such a terrifying sword Qi had been destroyed with his bare hands. Killed. Seeing this scene, the green-robed swordsman also stopped smiling. He became incomparably dignified, pulled out the sword on his back and quickly attacked. One after another, sword Qi seemed to split the sky and earth, slashing toward Yi Wudao. Yi Wudao used the 6 divine fists to contend with it. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. This was definitely a scene of destruction. Fortunately, the Yi family was surrounded by a peerless array, so it was impossible to destroy the Yi family. However, the surrounding mountains and forests were completely destroyed. Boom, boom, boom. The two exchanged more than 300 moves. In the end, the Celestial Spirit Sword Monarch's Celestial Spirit Scale Sword diagram was broken into pieces by Yi Wudao. The Celestial Spirit Sword Monarch was also sent flying, vomiting blood. The azure sword in his hand was broken. Most of the bones in his body were broken. He retreated for tens of thousands of miles before stopping. Vomiting blood, his eyes were filled with deep shock. Is this the power of a saint body? Too powerful. His Celestial Spirit Sword diagram could easily kill a peerless almighty. Even the saints couldn't contend with it. Coupled with the azure sword in his hand, its power was unparalleled. But now, everything was completely destroyed by the other party's fists. He couldn't resist this power. Whoosh. He swallowed a pill and didn't attack again. You're very strong. I'm not your opponent. When my cultivation improves in the future, I'll find you again. With that, the Celestial Spirit Sword Monarch turned into a ray of sword light and quickly left. Yi Wudao's expression was calm, waiting for him. With that, he retracted his golden light and turned to enter the Yi family. Nanling. At this moment, an intense battle was also going on. The two sides of the battle were naturally Yan Nantian, who had recently been conferred the title of South Emperor. There was no one in Nanling who did not know Yan Nantian. Before he had the title of South Emperor, he had already received the title of a young Great Emperor. Because it was rumored that he had obtained the inheritance of an ancient Great Emperor. It could be said that his means were very terrifying. In front of him was a saint, but he was sent flying with 3 punches. This scene made the entire Nanling tremble. Western Desert. Countless figures flashed in the myriad Buddha temple. In front of them was a 14 or 15-year-old youth. He had delicate features and wore a kasaya. Although he was young, no one dared to underestimate him. Because he was the saint of the myriad Buddha temple. It was also this time that he was known as West Buddha. Rumor had it that this youth was the reincarnation of an ancient Buddha to become a great emperor. It could be said that at such a young age, his dharma was very profound. His opponent was also the saint of the Western Desert Holy Land, White Horse Temple. The saint of the White Horse Temple's face was gloomy because he had already used many dharma powers, but he couldn't do anything to the youth in front of him. He felt a sense of powerlessness. Could it be that the other party was really the reincarnation of an ancient Buddha? So heaven-defying. Chapter 2700. Buddha's Salvation. The White Horse Temple's holy sun shouted angrily and formed a seal with his palms. Countless rays of light around him turned into a spirit sea that swept forward. This was a great divine power. It wasn't used to hurt people but to save people. Through these rays of light and his Sanskrit chants, he could directly turn the enemy into his servant. It was extremely terrifying to kill people without leaving a trace. Opposite him, Wu Qin sat cross-legged with a smile on his thin face. He slowly extended his finger and rotated it gently. The terrifying Sanskrit Buddhist light around him shattered in an instant. It turned into spiritual energy and gathered towards his finger. Bus. It turned into a spiritual flower on his finger and rotated gently. A world in a flower, a Bodhi in a leaf. Wu Qin said indifferently. On the opposite side, the White Horse Temple's holy sun retreated 3 steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was full of shock and his body trembled. Flower-pinching finger. The supreme Buddhist divine power, flower-pinching finger. You've actually mastered it. He was really too shocked. Do you still want to fight? Wu Qin said indifferently. The spiritual flower in his hand continued to rotate and emit an unpredictable power. You've won. The White Horse Temple's holy sun sighed helplessly. The other party had even mastered the flower-pinching finger. How could he fight? The surrounding monks were also in an uproar. Even the White Horse Temple's holy sun had been defeated. This Wu Qin was really terrifying. The people of the myriad Buddha temple smiled. Everything was under their control. This dustless was really formidable. The people of the Lanrua temple also muttered softly. They looked at No Flower. Senior brother No Flower, if it were you, Would you be able to resist his flower-pinching finger? Not necessarily. No Flower said that it would depend on how far he had mastered the flower-pinching finger. Although No Flower didn't get the title of West Buddha, he didn't have much of a reaction. Because he knew that the title was only one aspect. Whether one could become a great emperor or not depended on one's strength, it also depended on luck. Talent, strength, opportunity, and luck. None of them could be lacking. One couldn't become a great emperor without any of them. He wondered how Brother Lin was doing. No Flower's eyes flickered. He was also worried about Lin Xian. Lin Xian's situation was indeed very bad. In the past few days he had already accepted 5 or 6 challenges. Every single one of them was very powerful. Among them there were quite a few princes of the imperial dynasty. Clearly these imperial family members were very dissatisfied with him. Fortunately for the time being, no senior figures had jumped out to assassinate him, nor had any saints made a move. It was unknown whether these people disdained to take action, or if they were secretly stopped by Immortal Palace's people. After defeating another prince, Lin Xian frowned. This couldn't go on. He sent a voice transmission to the Crimson Shore Divine Dragon to ask about his progress. Lin Xian took out an ancient disc array and transmitted his voice. Soon news of the Dark Red Divine Dragon arrived. It would take a few more years. The exact time was uncertain, but it would take at least 3 years. There was still so much time. Lin Xian's eyes flashed. He put away the array formation and thought of an idea. Didn't these people want to fight? Very well, he would accompany them to the end. He stopped near Immortal Palace and stood on a mountain peak that was tens of thousands of meters tall. He then released the news. He was waiting for the heroes of the world to come and fight him. I am Lin Xian of the Central Emperor. I invite all heroes of the world to come and fight me. Not limited to Jianghu, Eastern Wilderness, Western Desert, Nanling, and Northern Plains. Anyone who defeats me will be given the title of Central Emperor with both hands. When the news came out, Jianghu was shocked and the world was in an uproar. Arrogant, he was too arrogant. The others were not willing to fight, and they were all in secluded cultivation. However, this Lin Xian was so arrogant that he wanted to accept challenges from the entire world. Not only Jianghu but the entire true spirit world could attack him. Motherfucker, this is too arrogant. Who did he think he was? Could he really defeat all the heroes of the world? Just wait, he must have angered countless geniuses this time. When the time comes he will cry. Many people gritted their teeth. Sure enough, the geniuses of the other 4 continents were also discussing. They also felt that this guy was very arrogant. Many people even began to teleport across continents, ready to see if this Central Emperor was as powerful as the legends said. At the same time, they also wanted to see what the lost 9 Yang divine body was like. After Xin Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing heard the news, the 2 of them were also nervous. This time they directly opened a door and teleported near Lin Xian. Big Brother Xian. Big Brother Lin Xian. The 2 girls walked over with worried faces. Lin Xian raised his hand, and countless sword chi transformed into palaces and pavilions that covered the cliff. Don't worry about me, I'm confident. Lin Xian asked the 2 girls to stay by his side for the time being. A few days later the people of the Nine Li dynasty came. A group of people came in a grandiose manner, bringing a large number of spectators. The person in the lead had black hair fluttering in the wind, and his eyes were like the vast stars. The robe on his body was also fluttering with dragon claws, looking very flamboyant. This was the Nine Li dynasty's 3rd prince, a very powerful prince. He was so powerful that the older generation elders trembled. Kid, do you think you are worthy of the title of Central Emperor? Hand it over obediently and I'll spare your life. The 3rd prince's voice was cold, and 9 dragon shadows appeared on his body, circling behind him. If you want the title of Central Emperor, let's see if you have the ability. Lin Xian's eyes were calm, neither sad nor happy. You don't know what's good for you. Since that's the case, I'll take it personally. The light on the 3rd prince's body became even more dazzling, and the 9 dragon shadows behind him roared. An incomparably violent force surged out. The terrifying force swept in all directions, scaring the surrounding people into retreating. It was too terrifying. The other party was like the Dragon Emperor War God, unstoppable. That was the power of bloodline. The Nine Li dynasty's bloodline power had produced the Arch. The 3rd prince was considered a descendant of the Arch. His bloodline power was truly incomparably terrifying. Divine Dragon Palm. The 3rd prince laughed loudly and stretched out his palm, which turned into a giant dragon, clawing over with its fangs and claws. With one hand the sky collapsed and the surrounding mountains collapsed. The third prince was too powerful and he had the combat strength of a top saint. The older generation figures were no match for him at all. Most likely, only chosen like Leaf Dao Denier, the prince of the Grand Xia, would be a match for him. Lin Xian faced this palm and did not dodge at all. The 9 young divine body bloomed with light, and his palm turned into a sun, slapping forward. Great sun burns the sky. The light of the 9 young divine body turned into a raging fire, burning fiercely and covering the entire sky. The mighty divine fire collided with the divine dragon palm, and a shocking sound was heard. Soon, the divine dragon palm was enveloped by the divine fire, as if it was going to burn to ashes. You can't hurt my divine dragon palm. The third prince was extremely confident. Is that so? Don't be so confident. Lin Xian sneered. My 9 young divine fire can burn everything. Chapter 27:01. The divine dragon's palm also emitted white smoke and gradually became smaller. Damn it, how is this possible? Break. The third prince's face was gloomy. He did not expect to suffer a loss as soon as he made his move. Thousands of rays of light burst out from his eyes, and his left hand drew a circle again and blasted out. This punch was like the starry sky of the universe, like a giant dragon soaring into the sky. Lin Xian also laughed and raised his palm. In his palm, endless light burst out and turned into a golden steel that suppressed down. Seal. This was the heavenly steel of the black demon cliff that he had created with the great dragon sword soul. It shone brightly, and mysterious runes shone between heaven and earth with mysterious power. This thing could seal the black demon cliff, let alone the third prince's fist. Sure enough, the dragon shadow formed by the third prince's fist was directly killed. It kept rolling in the sky but it could not escape. Lin Xian was too terrifying. He was directly suppressing the third prince. Everyone was shocked. They found that the third prince's ultimate technique was all easily broken by the other party. The third prince's face was also gloomy. He turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed towards Lin Xian. Heavenly Lion Seal. The third prince quickly formed a seal with his palm, and endless light appeared, turning into a purple lion that pounced over. This attack was extremely terrifying, and the void in front of him instantly shattered. Obviously, this was also the ultimate technique of the Nine Li dynasty. However, Lin Xian laughed. You want to compete with me? You're courting death. He used the great dragon sword soul to evolve a supreme saint technique, and his palms also formed a seal. The power of the 5 elements circulated, turning into a 5 elements mountain that enlarged in the sky, and then rushed over. With a boom, the purple lion was blasted away. Not only that, but the 5 elements mountain was also spinning non-stop, turning into a huge mountain that was tens of thousands of feet tall. It descended from the sky, wanting to suppress the third prince. Damn it! Heavenly Lion roar. The third prince shifted his position and dodged the attack of the 5 elements mountain. At the same time, he controlled the heavenly lion that was blasted away to let out an earth-shattering roar. A sonic attack. As soon as it appeared, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Those in the distance bled from their ears, and many martial artists directly fell from the sky. The others even sealed off their hearing. Behind them, Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing were also shocked when they saw this scene from the palace. The 2 of them were safe and sound because Lin Xian had already set up countless formations around them to protect their safety. Moreover, with their strength they were not afraid of this kind of sound wave attack at all. Sister Qingqing, do you think brother Lin Xian can win? Shen Jingqiu's face was full of worry, while Murong Qingqing's eyes flickered. Don't worry, this third prince is strong, but from the looks of it, brother Xian still has a lot of trump cards that he hasn't used yet. That's good. Big brother Lin Xian definitely won't lose. Shen Jingqiu smiled and watched the battle carefully. Finger of annihilation. Lin Xian snorted and flicked his finger. A sword wave spread out in all directions with him as the center. This sword wave contained the power of the great dragon sword spirit. It could cut through everything, so naturally it could cut through the sound waves. Boom. Boom. The 2 collided and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Black holes appeared one after another. The sound waves were completely destroyed. How terrifying. The other party was too terrifying. These people were extremely shocked. This battle attracted many princes of the empire, including the prince of the Great Xia dynasty. He stood on his golden sword and stood in the void, watching the battle attentively. In the distance, a young man in white stood in the clouds with a giant sword on his back. He also looked down. On the other side, on the spirit boat, countless people surrounded by Yin and Yang Qi watched the battle silently with solemn expressions. The prince of the great Xia dynasty, Seiko Dian, the people of the Yinyang sect, the Five Elements Palace, and the Nine Heavens Sacred Ground were all there. However, they were all watching the battle from afar. In particular, the people of the Yinyang sect and the Five Elements Palace were gnashing their teeth. To be honest, they were not there to challenge Lin Xian. They just wanted to see with their own eyes someone defeat him. They wanted to trample him to the ground. However, over the past few days they realized that no one had succeeded. This made them gnash their teeth in anger. Now, it seemed that the third prince was not completely confident either. Don't worry, this is just the beginning. I don't believe that this kid is invincible. In front of him, all of the third prince's divine abilities were restrained, which made him so angry that he vomited blood. However, he had no intention of stopping. Instead, he pulled out a long saber. Kid, trump cards and foundations are also part of your strength. So, don't blame me for not holding back. The long saber in his hand was in superior grade heaven grade treasure called the Valiant Dragon Divine Saber. It was very powerful. With it, one's combat strength would increase by several times. Previously, he only wanted to rely on his own strength to defeat his opponent. However, it seemed that this method would not work. However, he would not admit defeat. Therefore, he took out his trump card. The others were also indifferent. The other party was right. A person's Dharma treasure, trump card, and secret techniques were naturally considered his own strength. Therefore, when these people saw the fifth prince take out the Valiant Dragon Divine Saber, they exclaimed in shock, but no one stopped him. Damn, how shameless. He actually took out a superior grade heaven grade treasure. Shin Jingqiu gritted her teeth when she saw this scene. Murong Qingqing, who was at the side, also frowned. She comforted him. Don't worry, brother Shin has a lot of treasures in his hands. Just the fragments of the saints alone are several. Sure enough, when he saw the fifth prince take out the Valiant Dragon Divine Saber, the corner of Lin Xian's mouth raised into a smile. You're right. Treasures are also part of one's strength. So, don't blame me for what happens next. As he spoke, he took out the flower protector. Seeing this scene, the faces of the surrounding people turned green and they retreated crazily. Damn it, it's that ancient weapon. Damn it, this kid is cheating. That's not right. You all said that weapons are part of one's strength. If the other party can take out a superior grade heaven grade treasure, why can't Lin Xian take out a great weapon? That's right. If you have the ability, take it too. Many of the spectators supported Lin Xian while some supported the third prince. At this moment, both sides were arguing fiercely. The third prince's face turned green, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Damn it, I wanted to rely on the advantage of my weapon to crush my opponent, but now it seems that I'm the one being crushed. Damn it, I forgot that this kid has killed many strong enemies and entered the tomb of the saints. He must have such a treasure in his hands. Damn kid, you're going too far. The third prince was trembling with anger. The surrounding people were also filled with fear. Lin Xian scratched his head. I know I took out the wrong one. Sorry, don't be afraid. This thing is used against invincible kings. It's a waste to use it against you. Don't worry, I'll change my weapon to fight you. Lin Xian waved his hand and put away the flower protector. The others heaved a sigh of relief. The third prince was so angry that he vomited blood. What's going on? How dare his opponent look down on me? He was about to go crazy with anger. He was a top genius, and he claimed that he was not inferior to the princes of the great Xia dynasty. He even thought that he was on the same level as Yi Wudao and the others. But now, not only did he not gain the upper hand, but his opponent looked down on him even more. Chapter 2702. Brat, I won't let you go. The third prince roared like a madman. Lin Xian gave up on flower protector and took out the ancient dragon abyss sword. His eyes shone with a cold light. Won't let me go? Alright, let's see if you have what it takes. As expected of the middle emperor, he has the demeanor of an emperor. He didn't even use a weapon like flower protector. He's a true genius. Many people exclaimed in amazement. Even those of the older generation nodded their heads repeatedly. Indeed, if Lin Xian used flower protector, there would be no suspense in this battle. However, he didn't use it. He used another weapon and fought against the third prince with his own strength. This caused these people to be filled with admiration. Of course, the people from the Nine Li dynasty gritted their teeth. Damn it, what's this brat trying to show off? I don't believe that you can defeat our third prince without flower protector. Come on, I'll give you a chance to use your ultimate move. Otherwise, you won't have a chance. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward. You're courting death. The third prince was furious. He used to say that to others, but someone dared to say it to him. It was unforgivable. He held the five dragons' divine saber and swung it quickly. Saber radiance shone and tore the void apart. Lin Xian swung his sword too. He opened the 6 seals on the ancient dragon sword and it shone brightly. Rays of thunder sword radiance fell from the sky and spread out in all directions. What a terrifying power of thunder. This brat sword should be a great treasure too. Yeah, it doesn't look any weaker than the five dragons' divine saber. It's hard to say who's stronger. The five dragons' divine saber slash was a great skill of the Ninely dynasty. Moreover, the five dragons had the ability to devour everything. Don't underestimate the saber radiance. Anyone who came into contact with it would be devoured and their energy would be sucked dry. What? It's so terrifying? Of course. Do you think the third prince of the Ninely dynasty is a pushover? You're too naive. As expected, the lightning sword radiance was devoured by the five dragons. The third prince laughed. Haha brat, did you see that? My five dragons devour the sky. He's definitely not someone you can contend against. All of your moves can be swallowed by me. Did you see that? He's really powerful. In the distance those people were terrified. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. Swallowing? What a strange ability. He was surprised. He didn't expect that the other party would have such an ultimate technique. But so what? His lips curled up into a cold smile. My sword chi isn't something you can swallow so easily. Sure enough, not long after, the five dragon shadows flipped and roared, releasing crazy roars. Then their bodies began to swell. With a bang, one of the dragon shadows was pierced through, and a beam of thunder sword light shot out from within. After there was a second, a third. Thousands of densely packed thunder sword lights pierced the dragon shadow's body. He couldn't swallow it. These people were stunned. No way, what kind of thunder was that? How could it be so terrifying? It was not thunder, but sword light. It was because of the sword light. This brat sword light was seriously too terrifying. Those powerhouses exclaimed. The Prince of Great Xia and the other top prodigies stared at the thunder sword lights with lightning-like eyes. What a terrifying sword aura. It's over. We were all careless and guessed wrong. The 9 Yang divine body isn't this brat's strongest trump card. His sword chi is the terrifying one. Yes, as expected of the Central Emperor. His attack power is unparalleled and his spirit is strong. How can we fight him? Those people were full of despair. The third prince's face was also gloomy. In the blink of an eye, his 5 dragons devour the sky was directly destroyed. Even he suffered a backlash. The blood in his body was surging and he couldn't help but vomit blood. Damn it, I won't lose. He still had a trump card and that was the power of his bloodline. Buzz. Lin Xian waved his long sword. Third prince? That's all you've got. Is this all you've got? If that's all you've got, you're not qualified to take on the title of Central Emperor. Lin Xian's body was surrounded by sword light. He stood in the void like an unstoppable sword god. The third prince's face darkened. Brat, don't be arrogant. I still have the strongest bloodline power. Just you wait, you'll see. You won't be able to turn the tables under the power of the Ninely dynasty's bloodline. He formed a seal with his hands and terrifying bloodline runes appeared on his body. A hazy scene appeared behind him as if it was a vast universe. Russell. That scene seemed to have become a picture scroll that kept rolling. The scenery inside was beautiful and magnificent. Is this the Jiuli painting? Legend had it that the Ninely dynasty's ultimate weapon was the Jiuli painting, which contained a real world. Who would have thought that the power of their bloodline could transform it? Yes, it does look like a real world. Everyone looked at the hazy scene in shock. The aura it emitted was like a fairyland. The third prince waved his hand and lifted up the hazy fairyland. He then charged forward. With a boom, the hazy fairyland shrouded Lin Xian and swallowed him completely. What? He's shrouded. It's over. That brat is dead meat. Yes, this is the power of the bloodline, the ultimate skill of the emperor's descendant. That brat won't be able to withstand it. Brother Xian. Brother Lin Xian. Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu exclaimed when they saw the scene. The hazy fairyland gave them a strong sense of danger. They knew how terrifying the power of their opponent's bloodline was. He was afraid that Lin Xian was really in danger. Is the victor going to be decided? The eyes of the great Xia dynasty's prince, Seiko Dian, and the others lit up. The people of the 9 heavens sacred ground and 5 elements palace sneered. The people of the Ninely dynasty laughed proudly. Haha, you are powerless before the bloodline of the Ninely dynasty. The third prince snorted. From today onwards, the title of Middle Emperor is mine. Endless light shone from his body, and 9 dragons circled around him, making him look like the Dragon Emperor. What fairyland? You think too highly of yourself. It's just a king's domain combined with the power of the bloodline. Do you really think you can trap me? At this moment, a cold voice came from the hazy fairyland in front of him. It's that brat. That brat hasn't been completely suppressed. Sure enough, a figure stood in the middle of the mountains and rivers in the hazy fairyland. It was Lin Xian. At this moment he was being suppressed by endless energy, but the 9-yang divine body emitted millions of rays of light, blocking the terrifying aura. Today I'll destroy your so-called fairyland. Lin Xian roared in the hazy fairyland. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and the 9-yang divine body erupted. The ancient sword in his hand swung wildly. A sword could destroy mountains and rivers, and another sword could shatter the starry sky. Chapter 2703. The hazy fairyland trembled violently, and with a crack, it split open from the middle. A sharp sword light slashed out from the fairyland and landed on the third prince. With a bang, the 9 hazy dragon shadows were shattered. The third prince spat out blood and flew backward. His body was split in half. The third prince flew backward and vomited blood. His blood dyed the sky red. The 2 halves of his body rolled in the sky and emitted a blood-red light as they quickly healed. The 9 dragon shadows wrapped around him again. However, he was too miserable. His body was covered in blood and his face was pale. He no longer had the arrogance from before. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Lin Xian walked out of the destroyed fairyland. The 9-yang divine body shone brightly, and the sword qi on his body was even sharper. Countless sword lights surrounded his feet, forming a divine sword that supported him. You're just SOSO. Lin Xian's cold voice resounded in all directions. The surrounding people looked at this scene and fell into a daze. The terrifying illusory fairyland and the terrifying 9-li bloodline couldn't resist the sword qi. They would probably still remember this sword strike clearly hundreds of years later. Many swordsmen would even be awakened by this sword light in their dreams. This was a sword light, but at the same time, it was also a natural chasm that they could only look up to forever. The crack in the sky slowly healed, but the shock in everyone's hearts would never heal. How could he be so powerful? What kind of sword light was this? The third prince trembled and deep fear appeared in his heart. In the end he laughed bitterly. You've won. You're very strong. I've lost. At this point he seemed to have used up all his strength. The originally arrogant Yuan was so weak in front of Lin Xian. Was this the strength of the Central Emperor? The other 4 peerless heaven rankers who had obtained the title would probably be so heaven-defying. Thinking about it made people despair. It could be said that it was a great tragedy to be born in the same era as such a genius. He was very strong. The great Xia prince's eyes flickered, and stars flickered in his eyes. It seemed that he was deducing the battle just now. In the distance, the people from the Yin-Yang sect and the 5 Elements Palace were also ashen-faced. It seemed that it would be very difficult for them to achieve their wish of being defeated. Would he be able to achieve it in this lifetime? It was the same for the sky prides of the other sacred grounds. Well, Lin Xian looked around with a hint of coldness. The people around him all lowered their heads, not daring to meet his gaze. Bang! Suddenly an earth-shattering sound rang out. In the sky, a golden vortex rapidly condensed. The vortex grew bigger and bigger, spreading into the sky and not dissipating for a long time. However, no one appeared at all. Who was this person? Whose attack was it? These people raised their heads to look at the golden vortex in the sky. They were extremely shocked. This method was too terrifying. Humph, Lin Xian, I finally found you. I will definitely cut you down with my blade. A cold and emotionless voice came from the whirlpool. Hearing this voice, the people around felt their scalps go numb and their faces were filled with fear. Who is this? Even a terrifying descendant of the royal family like the third prince was unable to defeat Lin Xian. Now, there was actually someone who dared to challenge him? The people from the Yin-Yang sect and the 5 Elements Palace exclaimed. War tribe, it's someone from the war tribe. Heaven, the #1 sky pride of the war tribe is coming. What, the #1 sky pride of the war tribe? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The war tribe had swept across the continent in recent years and was famous throughout the world. One could imagine how terrifying the #1 sky pride of the war tribe was. It was definitely on the same level as Yi Wuyao and the Saint of Guang country. Was he finally going to make a move? The Prince of Xia, Seiko Dian, and the other princes and saints of Zhongzhou all raised their heads and looked at the golden vortex. Lin Xian also raised his head, his eyes emitting a cold light. It was finally here. He had been waiting for a long time to fight with the other party. However, the other party did not appear last time at the Jade Lake. He did not expect that he would finally appear now. Behind him, Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing were also shocked. The two of them left the palace and came to Lin Xian's side, looking into the distance together. However, after waiting for a long time, no one appeared. This made everyone confused. What was going on? Why was the number one Sky Pride not here yet? I'll be here in 3 days to kill you. In the sky, the golden vortex once again emitted a cold voice. What? In 3 days? Could it be that the number one Sky Pride was far away and had not arrived yet? Heavens! Sending a voice transmission across space was truly heaven-defying. Everyone was shocked. They all waited in place. To them, 3 days was just the blink of an eye. However, if they missed such a shocking battle, it would be difficult to see it again in their lifetime. Alright, I'll wait for you for 3 days. Lin Xian pulled Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu back to the palace. He sat down cross-legged and swallowed treasures to recover his strength. He had used up a lot of energy in the battle with the third prince. After all, the other party was also a top Sky Pride. These 3 days were just enough time for him to recover. Lin Xian waited for the number one Sky Pride of the War Tribe. In the eastern wilderness, Yi Wudao had also gone through a dozen battles. However, in the end Yi Wudao won all of them, while the powerful Sky Prides who fought with him were all defeated. All of a sudden, the entire eastern wilderness was in an uproar. Yi Wudao was too powerful. No one could defeat him. That's right. Apart from the other titled Sky Prides, very few people could be his match. No, there was definitely one person in the eastern wilderness who could contend with him. However, that person had yet to make a move. Who was it? The Four Symbols Saint? The Saint of all beginnings? No, you forgot. It was the Alcade Saint. He was a top Sky Pride. If he made a move, he would definitely be incomparably powerful. It was not certain whether Yi Wudao could win or not. That's right. How could they forget about the Alcade Saint? He was extremely terrifying. He was probably unwilling to accept the fact that he had not been given a title this time. That's right. Why didn't the Alcade Saint make a move? All of a sudden, all the cultivators in the eastern wilderness were discussing. However, the Alcade Saint still did not appear. The Alcade Sacred Land. The Milky Way waterfall hung upside down. Beside the waterfall sat a figure. It was the Alcade Saint. The 108 God-fiend halos around his body were becoming more and more terrifying. At this moment, he sat there with his eyes closed and his legs crossed, silently cultivating. 7 or 8 figures flew over from the distance. They were all young men and women with powerful auras. As soon as they appeared, they quickly landed. Senior brother. Finally, a woman called out softly. The rest of the people also spoke up. Senior brother, why aren't you making a move? Everyone in the eastern wilderness is waiting for you to make a move. If you make a move, you can definitely defeat Yi Wudao. Yes, senior brother, make a move. Chapter 2704. The Yao Guang Saint slowly opened his eyes. Countless stars flickered in his eyes as he said in a deep voice. All of you back off. I won't make a move. I'm not interested in that title at all. Senior brother. Those people wanted to say something, but the Yao Guang Saint waved his hand and countless rays of light teleported them away. This must be that guy's method. There's nothing new about it. But that's fine too. I'll let that guy fight against Yi Wudao and the others. Let's see who will survive in the end. After saying that, he slowly closed his eyes. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Above the middle ground, the golden vortex became more and more terrifying. A terrifying aura spread out from the vortex. Everyone trembled as their blood froze. These people quickly retreated tens of thousands of miles away. Many of them put on their battle armors to resist the terrifying aura. It had been 3 days. The number one genius of the war tribe should be here soon. That was for sure. The other party had already said so. With his status, if he didn't come, how would he survive in the future? These people discussed. Suddenly, the golden vortex in front of them exploded. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions. He's here. Everyone trembled as they raised their heads. Sure enough, a figure slowly emerged from the golden vortex. It was a very handsome man. He was tall and sturdy, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His body was flowing with a bright light as if he was a peerless war god. The moment he appeared, the void collapsed. Terrifying cracks appeared under his feet. Those people in the distance also retreated, their faces filled with fear. They could feel countless mountains pressing down on them, making it hard for them to breathe. Lin Xian, get over here and die. The handsome man's gaze was like a divine sword that swept across all directions. His voice was like thunder, causing many people to vomit blood. The number one genius of the war tribe had arrived. Everyone exclaimed. This was too terrifying. Was this the number one genius of the war tribe? Without making a move, just the aura from his body was enough to crush the heavens, making it hard for them to breathe. The prince of the great Xia dynasty, Seiko Dian, looked serious as if he was facing a great enemy. The people of the Yinyang sect, 5 Elements Palace, and 9 Heavens Holy Ground were overjoyed. He's here. He's finally here. The number one genius that they had been waiting for has finally appeared. This is great. They were extremely excited. In the next moment, the people of the Yinyang sect hurriedly shouted, "Greetings, number one prodigy. Greetings, number one prodigy." The people of 5 Elements Palace and 9 Heavens Holy Ground shouted excitedly. In the distance, the geniuses, experts, and seniors who had been sitting cross-legged all stood up with serious expressions. There was nothing he could do about it. His reputation as the number one genius of the war race was just too great. In recent years he had been like the sun in the midday sky. He wasn't the slightest bit weaker than Leaf Dao Denier, Holy Sun Al-Qaed, and the others. Now that the other party had appeared and was emanating such a frightening aura, none of the older generation experts dared to get careless. However, there were 3 silhouettes sitting there in a lotus position. They didn't care about what he said at all. It was as if they didn't think anything of him. Who is it that dares to be so rude to me, the number one genius? Do you want to die? Inside the golden vortex, besides the number one heavens chosen, there were also many other martial artists and geniuses from the battle tribe. They were angry to see someone still sitting there. When the number one prodigy went out, who wouldn't be extremely cautious as if facing a great enemy? There was actually someone who dared to treat him with such contempt. This person deserved to die 1,000 times over. Who does he think he is? Is he worthy of me standing up to greet him? In the distance, the youth sitting cross-legged sneered with disdain. When the others heard this, their scalps tingled and their faces filled with fear. However, when they saw who had spoken, they were so shocked that they couldn't speak. This was because the person who had spoken was also a peerless genius who was like the sun in the midday sky. Moreover, he had recently been conferred the title of Middle Sovereign. Such a person absolutely had the qualifications to say such words. Lin Xian didn't stand up. Beside him, Murong Qingqing and Xin Jingqiu also didn't stand up. The two of them were holy daughters of large sects, so they naturally wouldn't greet some number one genius. However, the other party's terrifying aura left the two women apprehensive. This was definitely an incomparably terrifying figure. He was likely no weaker than Leaf Dao Denier. You're Lin Xian? You're really arrogant enough. The number one genius turned his head and stared at Lin Xian, a terrifying light blossoming in his eyes. The void around Lin Xian quickly shattered, unable to withstand the power of his gaze. Xin Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing were shocked. The other party was stronger than they had imagined. Lin Xian coldly snorted. His eyes also burst out with a golden light, and like a sword of a god, he slashed out. That's right, the number one genius was Lin Xian. Number one genius, please take action and suppress him. That's right, who was that kid to deserve the title of Middle Sovereign? Of course, this title was for the number one genius. The Yinyang sect, 5 Elements Palace, and 9 Firmaments Divine Emperor's people hurriedly flattered. The number one genius was their greatest support now because their holy sons had just been killed. The new holy sons that had been nurtured recently couldn't compete with the top holy sons. Therefore they could only rely on the number one genius. Hearing this, the people of the war tribe laughed. Don't worry, fellow Taoists. The number one genius of the war tribe is extremely powerful. He's definitely an invincible existence. That's right, our number one genius has never been defeated since his debut. Even Yi Wudao might not be able to defeat our number one genius, let alone that kid. He's not a match for our number one genius. In less than 10 moves, the number one genius will definitely kill him and obtain the title of Middle Sovereign. The people of the war tribe were extremely arrogant. All sorts of words echoed in the sky. The others felt their scalps go numb, but they didn't say anything. In a battle of this level, it was better for them not to take sides randomly. Whether it was the number one genius or Lin Xian, they were both people they couldn't afford to offend. In fact, they could kill them with a single glance. In this world, there are only 2 or 3 people in the younger generation who can fight with me. However, you're not one of them. The number one genius looked at Lin Xian with a trace of contempt in his eyes. You're very strong and have killed many holy sons, but against me you have no chance of winning. Kneel on the ground obediently and hand over the title of middle sovereign, and I can spare your dog life. It's not easy for you to cultivate to this point and have such strength. So, think carefully and don't do anything stupid. The number one genius's voice was sonorous and filled with killing intent. What an arrogant tone. Do you really think you're invincible? You can try. Let's see if you can defeat me. Lin Xian stood up, and a terrifying aura rose from his body. Mysterious runes flickered on his body as vast as the starry sky. Everyone felt a wave of heat sweep out from Lin Xian's body. That aura and light seemed to want to melt them. The nine-yang divine body was extremely tough and yang. It was indeed terrifying. The surrounding people retreated once again. Chapter 2705. As expected of the legendary divine body. But giving it to you is too much of a pity. Kid, I'll give you a chance to live. Tell me the cultivation method of the nine-yang divine body. I can spare your life. The number one genius's eyes burned with passion. Even he couldn't remain calm in front of the nine-yang divine body. After all, this was the famous divine body of the ancient era. After reaching major completion, one could truly sweep through the 8 desolations. Kid, hurry up and hand over the cultivation method of the nine-yang divine body. Who do you think you are to cultivate a divine body? Only the number one genius of the battle race has the qualifications to cultivate such a peerless physique. The battle race's martial artists roared. In the sky, countless runes flickered as figures tore through the void and crossed over. 4 symbols: Saint Sun, all beginnings Saint Sun, unfettered Saint Sun, no flower, Gu Santong, myriad poison cult, Beast Emperor Palace, and Dao One Holy Land. The young geniuses and experts of the other 4 continents opened their Dao gates and directly teleported over. There was nothing they could do about it. The impact of this battle was too great. The battle between the number one genius and Lin Xian instantly spread throughout the entire True Spirit continent. These people didn't hesitate to open their Dao gates to come over and take a look. Fortunately, they didn't fight. Right, it wasn't too late. They were finally able to witness this world-shaking battle. The newly arrived geniuses' eyes flickered as they stared at the battlefield. Do you see? These geniuses are all here for the number one genius of the battle race. What immortal palace? What central emperor? They're nothing before the number one genius of the battle race. The battle race's martial artists clamored one after another. Noisy. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Dozens of huge palms appeared in the sky and instantly slapped away those clamoring martial artists. Those battle race's geniuses were sent flying while vomiting blood. All the bones in their bodies were shattered. Many of them even directly exploded, turning into a bloody mist that surged through the void. What a terrifying method. The distant people were alarmed. Their scalps went numb as they rapidly retreated. The battle race's people screamed as if they had gone mad. You dare to injure our people? You're dead. The prince of the great Xia dynasty, Seiko Dian, the newcomer No Flower, and the others were also extremely shocked. The eyes of the other princes and saintesses were also flickering. The expression of the number one genius of the war race sank. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The other party actually dared to injure someone of his war race right in front of him. This was truly an unforgivable crime. Today, even if you kneel down and beg me, I will not forgive you. At this point he stretched out a palm. This palm turned into a starry sky with incomparably flickering runes, enveloping Lin Xian. Tens of thousands of auras descended and pierced through the void. A terrifying force swept across the surroundings. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He didn't move. He clenched his fist and punched out. His fist was like a sun that soared into the clouds, its radiant light illuminating the surroundings. Boom! An earth-shattering collision sound rang out, and the entire sky quickly trembled. Countless large cracks appeared and wild gales swept out, blowing many people away. After the first exchange, the two of them were evenly matched and did not fight again. However, the auras of the two of them became more and more powerful. The number one genius of the war race had a cold expression. His gaze turned into 2 divine rainbows, wanting to see through Lin Xian. The others cried out in alarm. It was too terrifying. The two of them were really too terrifying. The saints and saintesses were also shocked. They could no longer withstand such an attack. However, this was just a casual attack from the two of them. If the two of them attacked with their full strength, how terrifying would it be? They didn't dare to imagine. Interesting. To be able to block my punch, it seems like you're more powerful than I imagined. Lin Xian said. I wonder if you can block my next attack? At this point, Lin Xian took the lead. His fist turned into 1,000 suns that burst forth in the sky. Heaven battling divine fist. The moment Lin Xian attacked, he used the war race's great ability, Heaven battling divine fist. A berserk aura surged, exploding in all directions. Brat, you're courting death. The number one genius's voice was cold as killing intent surged from his body. He had long heard that the other party knew their war race's divine fist. He didn't expect that the other party would really use it now. Reckless thing, how dare you steal my war race's ability? Today I'll let you know what the true heaven battling divine fist is. He roared angrily and also used the heaven battling divine fist to attack. The two of them collided, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. The people around them continuously retreated and used their king's domains to defend themselves. Some people even fled and used secret techniques to watch from afar. There was nothing they could do. The two of them were too powerful. Every attack could destroy heaven and earth. Bang! Lin Xian let out a long roar. His black hair fluttered, and his 9-yang divine body emitted billions of rays of light. The dragon sword soul in his body roared. He punched out with both fists like a dragon transforming into the sky. He forced the number one genius back with one punch. What? The number one genius was forced back? That was impossible. The number one genius had practiced the same fist technique for so many years, but he couldn't defeat the other party? Could it be that Lin Xian was already so terrifying? Everyone exclaimed. The war race's geniuses screamed crazily. Impossible, how could the number one genius be forced back? Careless, he must have been careless. That's right, that kid sneaked an attack. They gritted their teeth. What number one genius? That's all there is to it. You can't even defeat me with the same fist technique, and you still have the face to stand here? Lin Xian looked at his opponent and sneered. The number one genius was so angry that he trembled. The murderous aura on his body shattered hundreds of mountains below. He really couldn't understand how the other party could use the heaven-battling divine fist to such a terrifying extent without the power of a bloodline. In fact, it was even more powerful than his. Damn it, this kid must have some secrets. Perhaps this was the power of the 9-yang divine body. Thinking of this, his eyes were burning with passion. He had to get his hands on such a terrifying divine body. You only forced me back. What's there to be proud of? Do you think you can defeat me like this? That's right, it's enough for me to kill you. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He stepped on the chaotic yin-yang reversal and instantly rushed forward. His speed was fast to the extreme, and the 9-yang divine body blossomed with resplendent light, illuminating the entire sky with incomparable brightness. A strange sound could be heard coming from his body. It was like a dragon's roar, causing everyone to tremble. Go to hell, brat. The number one genius snorted and waved his fists, shaking heaven and earth, shattering a part of the sky. The light that filled the sky was torn apart. Countless afterimages were destroyed. However, none of them were Lin Xian's real body. Lin Xian had already arrived behind the number one genius. At this moment he was holding the Dragon Source ancient sword and slashing down from the sky. With a slash of the sword, the sky fell and the earth split. Not good, that kid is using all his strength. Yes, the 9-yang divine body coupled with his terrifying sword technique. Probably not many people could withstand it. Would the number one genius be able to withstand it? These people discussed animatedly. Indeed, the 9-yang divine body had already shocked them. Lin Xian's sword chi was even more terrifying. Few people of the same level could rely on it. Chapter 2706. The number one prodigy also felt threatened. With a roar, his muscles tightened as he turned around and struck out with his palm. The sun, moon, and stars revolved around his palm, forming a starry universe that smashed forward. What kind of cultivation technique was that? Why did it seem like a real world? In the distance, those people exclaimed. The mystiques of the war tribe were too terrifying. Each one of them made one feel despair. Boom. The stars in the sky wrapped around the terrifying sword light and continuously extinguished it, causing the sword light to dim. Countless stars shattered, but in the end, the sword chi was suppressed. He blocked it. He had actually blocked the other party's sword chi. The starry sky was too terrifying. It was like a real universe. Everyone was shocked. The princes and saints were also shocked. The great Xia prince, No Flower, Gu Santong, and the others were staring at the number one prodigy of the war tribe with bright eyes. The stars in their eyes disappeared as if they were deducing the entire battlefield. Lin Xian was also shocked. As expected of the number one prodigy, he was indeed powerful. One had to know that he had been in seclusion for the past few years and had become stronger. However, the other party had been able to block his sword so easily. It was indeed surprising. The other party was definitely standing at the peak of the younger generation. But so what? Today he would definitely crush the other party. Kid, it's useless. You can't do anything in my universe of destruction. Following the number one prodigy's voice, the starry universe pressed down, wanting to swallow Lin Xian. Scram. In the face of such a terrifying universe of destruction, Lin Xian shouted coldly and roared at the sky. His fist was like a dragon as it blasted out. The Nine Suns' divine fist erupted with billions of rays of light, and countless sword chi swept out in all directions. Lin Xian carried an unparalleled power as his fist smashed into the universe of destruction. There was a loud boom that shook the heavens. The stars in the universe were directly split apart by this punch, turning into rubble that scattered in all directions. The entire universe trembled as countless sword chi stirred, turning into a huge dragon that rushed into the sky. In the end, the universe was pierced into a hole. One after another, black holes flickered, making one's scalp go numb. Impossible. He actually destroyed the Annihilation universe. The battle race's martial artists were all stunned. Zhang Changfeng and the others were even more dumbfounded. They didn't dare to believe it. The number one elite was extremely powerful, especially in the Annihilation Great Cosmos. Even if Luo Yunyang used all his 36 celestial constellations, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, the other party actually shattered it with a single punch. Could it be that the other party had become so powerful? Or could it be that the other party didn't use his full strength the last time they fought? Zhang Changfeng didn't dare to imagine. I've said it before, you can't. Lin Xian let out a long howl like a demon god. The number one genius's expression turned cold. Brat, you're courting death. It was as if he had turned into a god of death, whose aura swept across the nine heavens. Move of thunder. The number one genius turned into a bolt of lightning and disappeared into the sky. His speed had reached an unimaginable level, and he appeared in front of Lin Xian in an instant. Lin Xian brandished his sword and slashed out. However, he soon discovered that his sword strike had missed. The other party appeared behind him again. Boom. He struck out with his palm. This palm struck Lin Xian's body and sent Lin Xian flying. However, the nine-yang divine body was extremely powerful. Lin Xian wasn't injured, but his chi and blood were surging. However, this still shocked him. The other party's speed was really too fast. Brat, you can die now. As he spoke, the number one genius's body disappeared again. So fast. In the distance, all the cultivators exclaimed. The eyelids of the saints, princes, peerless geniuses and older generation figures were also twitching wildly. This speed was too fast, so fast that even they couldn't keep up. What's going on? How can this number one genius's speed be so fast? Why do I feel that his speed has reached the level of an invincible king? I've seen invincible kings before, but they don't seem to have such terrifying speed. What kind of divine ability does the other party have? These people discussed animatedly. However, the people of the war tribe laughed. Did you see that? This is the true strength of the number one genius. Brat, you're dead meat. Sure enough, in a short instant, Lin Xian suffered dozens of attacks. Every time he was forced back. The chi and blood in his body were surging and his face turned pale. With a roar, the dragon sword spirit domain on his body opened up and enveloped him. Countless sword chi surged, surrounding him in all directions. In the next moment, something shocking happened. In the sky, in an instant, there were tens of thousands of collision sounds. Each attack was extremely powerful, sending the sword chi flying. The number one genius, it was the number one genius who had attacked. His speed was too fast. It's over. Lin Xian was actually suppressed. He originally thought that he could suppress the number one genius or at least fight to a draw. Now, it seemed that he was no match for the number one genius. Yes, the number one genius's speed was too fast. That brat is obviously no match for our number one genius. I'm afraid he can't even find where our number one genius is. The experts of the war tribe sneered. Zhang Changfeng's mouth also curled into a sinister smile. Brother Xian. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu were nervous. No Flower and Gu Santong were also frowning. On the other side, the great Xia Prince's eyes were red. This scene was also out of his expectations. No one thought that the number one genius's speed would be so fast, turning into a peerless lightning. What fast speed! Lin Xian opened up the dragon sword spirit domain and temporarily blocked the other party's attack. His face was extremely gloomy, and a golden light flashed in his eyes. He activated the heavenly secret god eye and quickly captured it. He realized that the other party's speed was indeed very fast, and he kept moving around him. Not good. Suddenly, his pupils shrank and his body suddenly disappeared. Just as he left, a large crack appeared where he was originally standing. A long black saber directly shattered the void. The dragon sword spirit domain suffered a fierce attack. Countless sword chi became dim. Lin Xian kept retreating and his aura was tumbling. Brat, your reaction is fast. However, can you keep up with my speed? The number 1 genius disappeared. When he reappeared, he attacked thousands of times, and all of them hit Lin Xian's dragon sword spirit domain. The dragon sword spirit domain was constantly being attacked. Do you really think that I can't keep up with your speed? Yin-yang disorder. 8 steps defying the heavens. Lin Xian was also angry. The yin-yang qi under his feet quickly rotated, and the shadow of a dragon appeared. At this moment he had completely combined the chaotic yin-yang disorder steps and heavenly dragon's 8 steps, creating a new step. Yin-yang 8 steps. Within 8 steps the world is limitless. Lin Xian's eyes became disillusioned, and his body instantly turned into a stream of light, disappearing on the spot. He dodged it, he actually dodged it. The surrounding people exclaimed. Heavens, his speed has also become faster. I can't find any trace of Lin Xian no matter how hard I try. Chapter 2707. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect Lin Xian's speed to increase so much. Impossible. How could that brat be so fast? The members of the war race also had crazed looks on their faces. Thunder's eclipse was extremely terrifying. In order to master Thunder's eclipse, the requirements for one's body were terrifying. One had to have a strong physique in order to be able to withstand the consequences of such a powerful force. Furthermore, lightning displacement was a cultivation technique that consumed the power of one's bloodline. Once it was displayed, even invincible kings might not necessarily be able to keep up. It could be said that the moment the number 1 genius unleashed this move, everyone from the war tribe knew that Lin Xian was dead for sure. However, to everyone's surprise, although Lin Xian was being suppressed, it didn't take long for him to increase his speed again, becoming as fast as the lightning cave. Damn it, how did the other party also have this kind of secret technique? I have to thank you for helping me achieve my 2 footwork. Lin Xian laughed heartily. He was using both footsteps and cultivating them. However, he had always wanted to fuse them together, but he was unable to do so perfectly. Just now he had received a great shock. To him, this was a hopeless situation that he had never experienced before. However, in this desperate situation he was unprecedentedly rational. In addition, he was observing the other party's movements. In an instant he had an epiphany. He combined the 2 footsteps to form the yin-yang 8 footsteps. This footwork combined the elusiveness of the yin-yang reversal and the extreme speed of the demigods and semi-devils. Within 8 steps, his speed had reached an unparalleled level. As expected, Lin Xian's current speed was not at all inferior to the number 1 prodigies. In fact, he had an even greater advantage than he had on the first day. With his heavenly secret god eyes, he could clearly capture the trajectory of the number 1 genius. However, he didn't think the number 1 heaven's favorite could track him down. Sure enough, gradually the number 1 prodigy started to make mistakes. This wasn't intentional but because he really couldn't catch it. With a bang, the number 1 heaven's favorite spat out blood and was sent flying. He had been struck by a sword. The resplendent light on his body was completely split apart. His armor was also torn to shreds. However, the number 1 genius did not shed any blood. His flesh was ancient too, with mysterious runes on it, forming a heavenly diagram. Peerless battle physique. Heavens, he actually has a peerless battle physique. Many experts of the older generation cried out in surprise. The others were even more shocked. Peerless physique? What was that? A young martial artist asked. The older generation experts' faces were full of shock. That was an extremely terrifying physique. Within the war race, it was the most valiant body. In ancient times, the unparalleled battle physique was one of the most powerful physiques. After peerless, everyone's peerless. The number 1 heaven's peerless, peerless to peerless peerless. Peerless pito peerless, s peerless to peerless t. Pito Lin Xian had only obtained the 9 yang divine body a few years ago. To pitos. Just like the holy body, they were born with it. With the battle race's terrifying resources and meticulous training, the other party's peerless battle physique was absolutely terrifying. That's right. If we were to compare the terrifying levels of the 2 physiques, perhaps the 9 yang divine body was more powerful. However, in the current situation, Lin Xian was truly at a disadvantage. The elders quickly discussed among themselves, and the saints and princes around them were also shocked by what they heard. The sky prides of the war tribe raised their heads and laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, kid, now you know. My title as the #1 prodigy is not just for show. That's right, our battle tribe's peerless battle physique is definitely not inferior to the saint physique or your divine physique. Let me tell you the biggest secret. The unparalleled battle physique has an even more horrifying feature apart from its tough physique. That is, super strong combat power. The war race was born for battle. They could fight against the heavens and destroy everything. Nothing is stronger than our unparalleled battle constitutions in terms of combat ability. Little brat, go to hell obediently. The people of the war race roared madly. When the other older generation members heard this, their expressions changed. That's right, how could I forget about that? Just thinking about his defensive power made the older generation members cry out in alarm. The unparalleled battle physique was famous in the ancient era. It was known as the unparalleled battle physique. Once this physique was revealed, it would definitely be an existence that could sweep through the world. Unparalleled battle physique. How powerful did one have to be able to earn such a title? One could imagine how heaven-defying the unparalleled battle physique was. Although that kid's swordsmanship was also sharp, he would probably be defeated by the unparalleled battle physique. That's right, who would have thought that the #1 prodigy of the war race would have such a shocking physique? It seemed that in terms of combat ability, it surpassed the 9 divine physique. That might not necessarily be the case. The strength that kid displayed now was also very terrifying. Moreover, Lin Xian seemed to have never been defeated since his debut. Perhaps he could also create a miracle this time. The 9 divine physique was not to be trifled with. Many people still supported Lin Xian because they had already regarded Lin Xian as their idol. Lin Xian could be said to be a new force to be reckoned with in recent years. He had gone from being unknown to sweeping across the continent. The shock caused by this was not something that could be erased with just a few words. Lin Xian's swordsmanship is definitely the strongest I have ever seen. The legend of the 9 divine physique is not fake. Those people clenched their fists. Just wait, that kid will definitely be killed. Even if he has the 9 divine physique, it won't be enough. The people of the war race sneered. The #1 prodigy of the war race had a sinister expression. Kid, I admit that the 9 divine physique is very strong. However, that is the great success 9 divine physique. You have only cultivated for a few years, you are not my opponent at all. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too weak. The #1 prodigy laughed loudly. Countless mysterious runes flickered on his body, turning into a shocking light that pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Lin Xian's expression was strange. Unparalleled battle physique? Unparalleled battle strength? Why did this name sound so familiar? His great dragon sword soul was known as the #1 offensive existence in the world. It was even more terrifying than the unparalleled battle physique. However, apart from him and the dark red divine dragon, almost no one knew that he had the great dragon sword soul. Otherwise, those people would not be surprised when they heard about the unparalleled battle physique. Instead, they would sympathize with him. This #1 prodigy was really a tragic person. Although he had the unparalleled battle physique, he still encountered me? Lin Xian sneered and narrowed his eyes. Well, let me see how strong your unparalleled battle physique is. To be honest, he was also looking forward to it. The unparalleled battle physique was quite famous and had been passed down since ancient times. He wondered how it would compare to the great dragon sword soul that he now had. Come, let me see if your unparalleled battle physique is as powerful as the rumors say. Lin Xian swept his sword forward. Chapter 2708. The #1 prodigy displayed his peerless battle constitution, and the dazzling light swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. At this moment, he was like a god of war that had descended from the heavens, suppressing the surroundings, causing everyone's expression to change. The saints' bodies began to tremble. It's too terrifying. Is this the power of the peerless battle constitution? Why do I feel that it's even more terrifying than the sacred body? The peerless battle constitution was really born for battle. The older generation figures also quickly retreated. The expressions of the great Xia Prince, Huagu Santong, and the others also changed. It's too terrifying. The #1 prodigy's greatest trump card was actually the peerless battle constitution. It was really beyond their expectations. I wonder if Brother Lin will be able to withstand it? It was really hard to say. After all, Brother Lin had obtained the 9 divine body for too short a time. If it had been a few more decades, it would be different. Brother Xian. Murong Qingqing and Shinjingqiu also cried out. Lin Xian waved his hand and said, "Don't worry, you guys retreat first and protect yourselves. I can handle it." "Okay, Brother Xian, be careful." Murong Qingqing nodded and pulled Shinjingqiu, and the two of them quickly retreated. Countless lotus flowers danced on their bodies, forming a powerful light that resisted the monstrous aura of the number one prodigy. Peerless battle constitution, you're the first person who can make me use my full strength. I'm honored to see you. Lin Xian's voice spread throughout the world. What? Full strength? Could it be that this kid has never used his full strength before? Impossible. Pretentious? He must be pretentious. Reckless kid, how dare you say such words in front of our number one prodigy? You're definitely dead. The people of the war tribe also sneered. The number one prodigy shouted coldly, and his body bloomed with light like a furnace of heaven and earth, emitting incomparable light. The terrifying power suppressed the world. However, soon the expressions of the surrounding people changed. It was not because of the peerless battle constitution. It was because of Lin Xian. Lin Xian's aura had become extremely terrifying. It wasn't any weaker than the unparalleled battle constitution. At this moment, even though Lin Xian's body was shining brightly, it also emitted a supreme killing intent. His entire body seemed to have turned into a sharp sword, extremely resplendent. His body swayed slightly as he tore through the sky and sliced the void in half. Had he transformed into a sword? What kind of tricks did this brat have? What was his trump card? What kind of swordsmanship was that? Could it be that he had the body of a divine sword? Everyone was stupefied. They had never seen someone who could use sword chi to such a terrifying degree. Putting aside the battle prowess, just this aura alone was something that not many invincible king-level swordsmen could display. How was this possible? How could he possess such a piercingly cold sword light? Those people from the war race trembled so much that they were unable to speak. The other sacred princes and heavenly talents were also startled. Even the top elite's eyelids were twitching. He felt that the energy was comparable to his unparalleled constitution. Killed, the top elite roared as he unleashed his full battle prowess and charged towards his opponent. He had no choice. His opponent's aura was too powerful, and it seemed to be constantly rising. He would not allow his opponent to surpass him. Therefore he quickly charged over. His terrifying battle prowess did not require any divine abilities. Just a simple wave of his fist was enough to destroy everything. This power surpassed that of the top sacred princes. Was this the unparalleled battle constitution? It was indeed terrifying. He might even be able to contend with an invincible king. Indeed, there were probably not many people in the younger generation who were his match. Those experts discussed animatedly as their bodies trembled. Those top elites were even more focused on the battle. Boom, 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 boom. Lin Xian had transformed his body into a sword. Coupled with the power of the Jiuyang divine body, it was truly terrifying to the extreme. At this moment, the great dragon sword soul was unleashing its full power. It did not hold back at all. Every move carried a peerless sharpness. When the sword was unleashed, the void shattered. The war race's divine abilities were all destroyed by him. Not only that, the sword chi in the sky turned into a long dragon. The roars of the dragon shook the 9 heavens. Once the great dragon sword soul was unleashed, the sun and moon lost their light. Those people all prostrated themselves on the ground. Kill, kill. The two of them engaged in an earth-shattering battle. The void shattered, the sun and moon trembled, and the galaxy spun. It was a scene of destruction. It was too terrifying. The battle prowess of these two people continued to soar, far surpassing that of the younger generation. The faces of the great Xia prince, No Flower, Gu Santong and the others changed. Zhan Changfeng, the 3rd prince and the 9th prince were even more horrified. Was this Lin Xian's strength? It was too terrifying. Previously, they thought that they could compete with the other party and even kill him. But now it seemed like that was not the case. If the other party had displayed such power right from the start, they would not be his match at all. They would not even be able to block a single sword strike. The number one genius of the war race had an unparalleled battle constitution and unparalleled battle prowess. But what did this kid have? The Jiuyang divine body? It should not be. With his Jiuyang divine body, he should not be able to unleash such terrifying power. There must be something wrong with his sword technique. Some living fossils were alarmed. They rushed over from afar to watch the battle personally. The battle between the two was too intense. They were both using extreme speed and terrifying power. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 300 moves. The area within a radius of a few million miles was completely shattered. Not a single piece of space was intact. Lin Xian waved his ancient sword. Sword qi filled the sky and swept in all directions. On the other side, the number one genius had turned into a peerless war monarch. Not only that, he had also displayed a peerless divine ability, the 36 Dipper Stars. Around him, 36 silhouettes appeared, forming a celestial diagram of destruction. It was too terrifying. The 36 figures combined with the peerless battle constitution. That aura was enough to make one despair. Lin Xian swung his ancient sword in all directions. In an instant, 36 dragon-shaped sword qi were formed and pierced towards the 36 blood-colored figures. The Dragon Source ancient sword turned into a peerless sword light and slashed towards the number one genius. An earth-shattering collision sound rang out. Sparks flew in the sky and thunder descended. However, all 36 sword qi were blocked. The power of the peerless battle constitution combined with the 36 Dipper Stars was truly terrifying. It blocked the peerless dragon-shaped sword qi. Kill. With a roar, the number one genius's power rose again. His entire body seemed to be about to merge with the 36 mysterious figures. His peerless treasure body flickered with extremely strange runes. That aura shattered the entire world. In the distance, the spectators kept trembling. Many people fainted from fright. Some people even exploded. The others felt their scalps go numb and quickly retreated. It was too terrifying. As expected of an ancient peerless battle constitution, his combat strength was extremely strong. No one in the same generation could contend against him. Yes, even an unparalleled king would not be able to display such power. No wonder it was called a battle constitution. It was simply born for battle. Chapter 2709. Lin Xian's body shone brightly as streams of sword qi pierced through the heavens and earth. Each sword qi had evolved to the extreme. It could destroy everything in the world. Lin Xian brandished his ancient sword and clashed with the 36 mysterious men. The dragon's roar reverberated through the air as Lin Xian swung his ancient sword. Two heaven-defying constitutions. Every time they clashed, the void would shatter. Hundreds of thousands of lightning bolts would fall from the sky and millions of mountains below would shatter. Our war tribe's number one prodigy has a peerless battle physique that no one can break. Once the peerless battle physique is used, it's unparalleled in the world. The number one prodigy is the true number one of the younger generation. The people of the war tribe roared from the back. Their voices were like thunder. Those people trembled. Could it be that the number one prodigy of the war tribe was already so terrifying? Even Lin Xian, with his powerful 9-yang divine physique, couldn't resist? The number one prodigy was indeed terrifying. Many people knelt down. Sure enough, the 36 blood-colored vortexes formed a mysterious diagram and surrounded Lin Xian, drowning him completely. The 36 figures circled in the sky. Terrifying mysterious voices could be heard and terrifying runes floated. Lin Xian was completely suppressed. It's over. That kid is dead for sure. Many older generation figures sighed. Brother Xian. Brother Lin. Murong Qingqing, Xinjingqiu, No Flower, Gu Santong and the others exclaimed. In the distance, the other saints and princes were talking among themselves, screaming non-stop. Ah! The people of the Yin-Yang sect, 5 Elements Palace, and 9 Heavens Holy Ground all revealed sinister smiles. The people of the war tribe laughed out loud. In the world, only the peerless battle physique is supreme. The number one prodigy of the war tribe will sweep through the world and reach the peak. The people of the war tribe cheered wildly. The number one prodigy of the war tribe snorted coldly. What, Lin Xian? How dare you use the title of Middle Emperor? In my opinion, you're just SOSO. Today I'll kill you completely. His body glowed with dazzling light, and the 36 blood-colored figures became even more mysterious. Their terrifying aura engulfed the world. This scene made everyone despair. They knew that Lin Xian was finished. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a peerless immortal light lit up the area within a few million li. Everyone was dumbfounded. The 36 blood-colored vortexes formed a blood-colored battle map. Suddenly, it shook violently and countless cracks appeared on it. It continued to expand until it was split into 2 halves. A peerless sword light radiated from the crack, illuminating the entire sky. The blood-red war map shattered into pieces, and a figure rushed out from the fragments. Lin Xian charged out of the war map with sword qi that filled the sky. He roared in all directions. 10,000 streaks of aura erupted, shattering the void. The entire scene became incomparably quiet. Everyone was completely stupefied. Damn it, this is impossible. The war race's people screamed crazily. Their eyes were completely red as they continuously shook their heads. They couldn't believe that Yi Fuqian was able to break the number 1 prodigy's blood-colored war map. This was too inconceivable. The others were also filled with fear. That was a peerless battle physique. It was born for battle. Coupled with the war race's terrifying secret technique, the 36 heaven stars could suppress everything. No one could stop it. However, such a terrifying attack was still shattered by Lin Xian. This Lin Xian is too strong. We still underestimated him. I've already said that Lin Xian is definitely strong. His title of Middle Emperor is not for nothing. Just wait, he'll definitely win this round. Those who supported Lin Xian shouted excitedly. No flower. Gu Santong also heaved a sigh of relief. In the distance, Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu smiled through their tears. That's great. Big brother Xian is fine. They were so nervous just now. The other experts of the older generation and even the living fossils all had serious expressions on their faces. He broke it. This kid actually broke the number 1 heaven battle map. This was too unbelievable. Yes, the war race was incomparably terrifying. Their peerless battle physique had been famous since ancient times for their unparalleled battle strength. But now, they were actually suppressed in terms of battle strength. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't dare to believe it. How did that kid do it? Everyone was puzzled as they looked into the distance. In front of them, the blood-colored war map was shattered. The scattered fragments evaporated, forming a sea of blood that surged in the sky. It enveloped Lin Xian and the number 1 prodigy. Bang! The sea of blood slapped and spread in all directions, piercing through the void. Dodge. Don't let the sea of blood touch you. This was the war race's peerless ability. The people in the distance screamed crazily and retreated again to increase the distance between them. What peerless battle physique. It's just so. What other tricks do you have? Use them all. Lin Xian looked ahead disdainfully. The great dragon sword soul in his body roared, and a dragon shadow flashed under his feet. At this moment he was really incomparably powerful. Kid, you've completely angered me. The number 1 prodigy's face was gloomy. He didn't expect that his peerless ability would be broken by the other party. This was a slap to his face in public. His killing intent was aroused. He had to kill the other party. Whoosh. He opened his mouth and spat out a 9-story pagoda that spun in the sky. Countless runes flickered and directly shattered a part of the sky. The people in the distance were even more terrified. Many martial artists were directly pressed to the ground and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. The other prodigies, princes, and elders were also terrified. Damn it! Angry roars sounded one after another as these people used their peerless skills. The golden divine sword under the feet of the Prince of Great Xia bloomed with light. Seiko Dian instantly set up a sword array around himself. Murong Qingqing and the others also used their own peerless skills to quickly retreat and resist. Saint's Might. Damn it, that pagoda actually has Saint's Might. Could it be that it's a saint's weapon? Heavens, could it be an intact saint's weapon? Those people screamed as if they had gone crazy. No, it's impossible for him to use an intact saint's weapon. It should be a half-saint artifact. The eyes of some living fossils flickered. A half-saint artifact. Hearing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief, but they were still shocked. A half-saint artifact was an existence that surpassed a heaven-grade weapon. It was absolutely terrifying, because there was a wisp of saint's might condensed in it. Saint's might was an existence that surpassed the king realm. Even an invincible king would not dare to touch it easily. That mysterious and unfathomable power was far beyond their imagination. Now, the number 1 prodigy had taken out such a weapon, which filled them with despair. Damn it, the peerless battle physique was already so terrifying, and now he took out a half-saint artifact. Was he trying to defy the heavens? Indeed, with his current strength he could kill an ordinary invincible king. They wondered what other trump cards Lin Xian had. If not, they would not be able to resist. Lin Xian frowned and his eyes were gloomy. He did not expect that the other party would bring such a terrifying weapon. A half-saint artifact was even more powerful than a saint's fragment. Chapter 27:10. However, he had more than one saint fragment in his hands. If he used 2 more, he might be able to resist it. After all, no matter how strong his opponent was, it was only a half-step saint artifact. There was still a big gap between it and a true saint artifact. Kid, it's useless. Stop struggling. Even if you have the 9 yang divine body, you're still too weak to resist my half-step saint artifact. As he spoke, the number 1 prodigy pushed the terrifying 9-story pagoda. The 9-story pagoda spun, emitting light and thousands of auras. Boom. The monstrous light enveloped a radius of millions of miles, crushing the air and forcing everyone to retreat. This was the power of a half-step saint artifact. It could only release a simple saint aura. If it was a true saint artifact, it would be even more terrifying. Don't you have the 9 yang divine body? Don't you have the power of the purest yang? Today I'll let you see what a true divine fire is. The number 1 prodigy sneered. With a wave of his hand, balls of flames flew out from the pagoda. They covered the sky and turned into a sea of fire that rushed forward. These were flames with saint aura. It was extremely terrifying, even more terrifying than the peerless sun. As soon as it appeared, it burned the void into nothingness. Oh no, that kid is in danger. Yes, no matter how strong the 9 yang divine body is, he hasn't cultivated it to greater mastery. Not to mention greater mastery, he probably hasn't even reached lesser mastery. Without a few hundred years of cultivation, it's impossible to reach lesser mastery with such a divine body. To reach greater mastery, it'll probably take a few thousand years of cultivation. Yes, that kid is still too young. If he cultivates for another few hundred years and becomes an invincible king, he'll probably be able to sweep through everything. Many elders discussed. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He could naturally feel how terrifying the power of these flames was. With his current 9 yang divine body, he probably wouldn't be able to resist it. However, he wouldn't sit still and wait for death. He took out the saint's hand bone and floated it above his head. Countless rays of light shone down and enveloped his body. He avoided being injured by the terrifying flames. At the same time, he took out Flower Protector, tore a corner of the seal and shook it gently. The terrifying demonic sound waves spread out in all directions like a sudden clap of thunder. They collided with the surrounding divine fire. Boom, boom. A world-shaking thunder rumbled, and everything within a radius of several million li was completely shattered. Large cracks were everywhere as if the world was about to be destroyed. Although it was only a small piece of the sage's hand bone, it was still the body of a sage. The sage aura it contained was absolutely terrifying. The Flower Protector in his hand was a famous peerless killing weapon in the ancient times. Yi Shiwen couldn't tear open the seals of these 2 weapons at present. However, the power that he could unleash now was enough to contend against the opponent's semi-sage tool. After all, the other party was not a true half-saint. Like him, he was only an almighty. An intense collision rang out. Everyone retreated once again. They didn't dare to watch the battle any longer. There were peerless experts who set up terrifying formations that floated above the 9 heavens, transmitting these scenes over. And these people were basically pushed thousands of miles away. There was no other way. The 2's attacks were too fierce. Unless they also took out a saint's fragment or a half-saint item to defend themselves, they wouldn't be able to do anything. However, they were only here to watch the battle. They wouldn't risk their lives like this. Sure enough, there was a super expert using a treasure. Although they were thousands of miles away, they could still clearly see the situation of the battle. It was too terrifying. Lin Xian was actually not at a disadvantage against a half-saint item. That was natural. Don't forget that he was the master of the Immortal Palace. He had many treasures. Moreover, he had obtained many good things in the saint's ancient tomb that were enough to resist a half-saint item. Damn it, he actually blocked it. The number 1 genius's face was gloomy. He didn't expect the other party's trump card to be so strong. Thinking of this, a strong killing intent appeared in his eyes. No, he had to get rid of the other party. He had to get the title of Central Emperor. An extremely terrifying light appeared on his body. His peerless battle physique erupted again. The pagoda in his hand was pushed to the extreme. Rays of light burst out, and the terrifying divine fire covered the sky and earth. Lin Xian was also angry. He fully activated his 9 yang divine body, and the great dragon sword soul didn't hold back. His combat strength was constantly rising. It directly surpassed the peerless battle physique. The 2 great killing weapons in his hand were operating crazily. His 9 yang divine body suffered the consequences and attacked like a madman. Sure enough, under the effect of the great dragon sword soul's heaven-defying power, the 2 great killing weapons also erupted with an incomparable aura. Their power had increased. It was unbelievable. The divine fire that filled the sky was directly extinguished by the terrifying sound waves. Not only that, the sound waves and the saint's hand bone formed a terrifying sword light that collided with the 9-story pagoda. The pagoda trembled non-stop and its light dimmed. The shocking change and Lin Xian's increase in strength made the number 1 genius unable to react before he was directly sent flying. He vomited large mouthfuls of blood and countless cracks appeared on his body. It couldn't be helped. The consequences of a half-step saint artifact were too terrifying. Even with his current peerless battle physique, he probably couldn't withstand it. Damn it. A hint of anger appeared in the number 1 genius's eyes, but it was more of fear. His opponent's strength was too strong, especially now that his combat strength had surpassed his. He couldn't fight his opponent head-on anymore. Otherwise he wouldn't be able to withstand the impact of this power. In the next moment he held the 9-story pagoda in his hand and used lightning eclipse to quickly move in the sky. He wanted to distance himself and recover from his injuries. You want to leave? Stay here for me. Seeing that the other party was far away, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He used the Yin-Yang 8 steps and teleported, chasing after him. How could he let such a good opportunity go? The other party was a peerless enemy. If he had the chance today he had to kill him. The two of them flew quickly in the sky, one in front and one behind. Seeing this scene, the martial artists thousands of miles away were all stunned. Their eyes widened in disbelief. Oh God, what did I just see? The number 1 genius was defeated. And he was still running away. Damn it, didn't the number 1 genius take out a half-step saint artifact? It could kill an ordinary invincible king. How could it be? What did that kid do? How could he be so powerful? What trump card did he take out? Could it be a real saint artifact? I don't know. The light just now was too strong, and it was surrounded by Saint's aura. We couldn't see through it. Those people of the older generation also had anxious expressions on their faces. The people of the Yin-Yang sect, the 5 Elements Palace and the 9 Firmaments Divine Emperor were stunned. Their eyes widened and their faces were filled with fear. The people of the war tribe screamed crazily. Impossible, how could our number 1 genius be defeated? That's right, this is an illusion. It must be an illusion. I don't believe it. The number 1 genius must be using a strategy to lure his opponent to death. These people's faces were filled with madness as they kept shaking their heads. They couldn't accept the fact that the number 1 genius had been defeated. Chapter 27:11. In the sky the two figures were extremely fast. The first Sky Sect's thunder movement was a bloodline's secret divine power. Ordinary invincible kings couldn't keep up with it. As for Lin Xian, he had just fused 2 peerless footwork techniques and created the Yin-Yang 8 steps. His speed wasn't slower than the first Sky Sect's thunder movement at all. Not only that, Lin Xian even took out the dragon sword soul and held it in his hand. With a boom, the dragon-shaped sword shadow enlarged and turned into a giant sword that was tens of thousands of feet long. It slashed forward. It was as if a giant dragon had been resurrected. The endless mountains in front of him collapsed and the sky was cut in half. The entire world began to shake. The sword slashed down and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Damn it, block it. Seeing this scene, the first Sky Sect's pupils constricted because the dragon-shaped sword shadow gave him goosebumps all over his body, and the blood in his body surged. He felt that if he faced it head-on, his peerless body would definitely not be able to block it. Even his unparalleled battle constitution was trembling under such combat power. He didn't know what it was that could surpass his peerless body. But now he couldn't care less. He had to block it quickly. With a wave of his hand, the pagoda floated and enveloped him. Clang. The sword slashed on the 9-story pagoda and made an earth-shattering sound. The void in all directions shattered. The first Sky Sect's top prodigy was hit by the aftershock of the energy. He was sent flying and vomited blood. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the saint's hand bone floated above his head to protect him. Flower Protector flew out and fought against the 9-story pagoda. He also slashed out the dragon-shaped sword shadow from time to time, trying to knock the pagoda away. Damn it. Block it. The first Sky Sect's top prodigy roared crazily. He activated the 36 heavenly spirits and activated the 9-story pagoda at all costs. In the distance, the martial artists were all stunned when they saw this scene. The first Sky Sect's top prodigy was being chased and beaten. He was even vomiting blood and injured. Lin Xian was really terrifying. Yes, who would have thought that the first Sky Sect's top prodigy would be defeated in the end? It was really surprising. Would the first Sky Sect's top prodigy be killed? Would that brat really dare to make a move? The position of the number one genius in the battle race was not any lower than Yi Wudao's position in the Yi family. If the number one genius was killed, the battle race would definitely go crazy. That brat probably wouldn't dare. Everyone was talking about it. No. Those battle race martial artists rushed up like madmen wanting to rescue them. However, they had only flown a few 100,000 feet when they were swept away by the energy shockwave and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. With their current strength, it was impossible for them to go over. After all, it wasn't just the power of the two of them anymore. It was the power of the half-saint tool and the saint's fragment at full power. It was impossible for them to resist such power. Don't run. You can't get away. Lin Xian snorted and activated his Tianji divine eyes. In the sky, a pair of golden eyes looked down and activated the floating light secret technique. The number one genius was struck by an illusion. However, he recovered quickly. However, Lin Xian managed to grasp the opportunity in that split second. Flower Protector directly knocked the 9-story pagoda away. The number one prodigy was completely exposed in front of Lin Xian. Let's see what you can do without the half-saint tool. Damn it, not good. The number one prodigy's expression became extremely ugly. He didn't expect the other party to use a soul attack. He hurriedly took out a piece of jade and suspended it on his forehead, afraid that he would be struck by an illusion again. At the same time he gritted his teeth. This brat is going too far. As he spoke he went crazy. He didn't care about the price and even burned his bloodline power to activate his peerless battle physique. His strength rose again. The world was enveloped by his light. Today I'll let you see the true power of a peerless battle. Is that so? Today I'll let you see what peerless battle strength is. Lin Xian held the dragon-shaped sword shadow with both hands. The 9-yang divine body erupted with unparalleled power. The dragon sword soul roared again and again, shaking the 9 heavens. Dragon soul slash. The terrifying sword light surged through the 9 heavens. The experts thousands of miles away trembled and prostrated on the ground, unable to raise their heads. It was too terrifying. The saints and saintesses also retreated. Their bodies bloomed with light to resist. In front of them the apocalyptic scene lasted for a long time. Between heaven and earth, 108,000 sword chi streaked across. In the end it slowly dissipated. The moment it dissipated, the people of the war tribe couldn't wait any longer. They rushed over crazily. Let's go and take a look. The other princes, prodigies and experts also moved and flew forward. They felt that the bombs were almost used up. It should be safe to go there now. When they flew 2 million miles, the light in front of them finally dissipated. However, they didn't fly anymore. Instead, they were stunned in the sky. Many people trembled, rolled their eyes, and fainted. The others' expressions changed drastically and their bodies trembled. The people of the war tribe screamed crazily like wild dogs. Impossible. What did they see? In front of them, the number one prodigy's body was split in half. The number one prodigy was split in half. Blood dyed the sky red, and the 9-story pagoda beside him was dim. The number one prodigy was split in half. Heavens, he actually killed the number one prodigy. The saints and princes were stunned. That was the number one prodigy. The peerless battle physique, the unparalleled battle physique of the ancient times. When it reappeared in the world, it should have reached the peak and illuminated the ages. But now it was split in half by a sword. No one dared to believe it. Their minds were blank and the surroundings were dead silent. How could this kid be so powerful? He could even split the number one prodigy. The people of the Yin-Yang sect, 5 Elements Palace, and 9 Heavens Sacred Ground trembled. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They even wanted to run away now. But in order to not attract the other party's attention, they could only tremble on the spot. The 3rd prince, 9th prince, Great Xia prince, and No Flower stared at the peerless saints and princes in shock. Big brother Xianwen, Murong Qingqing and Xin Qingqiu also opened their cherry mouths in disbelief. The older generation figures, peerless experts and living fossils were even more stunned. Because it was too unbelievable. According to their speculations, both of them had heaven-defying physiques. But because Lin Xian had only obtained the 9-yang divine physique for a short time, his combat strength was definitely inferior to the number one prodigy. In addition, the number one prodigy's battle physique was mainly known for its peerless attack power. Therefore, Lin Xian was definitely not a match for the number one prodigy. They speculated that Lin Xian would not be killed with the 9-yang divine physique, but it was normal for him to lose. But the result? The peerless battle physique was split in half by the other party. This caused everyone to be stunned. There was actually someone who could defeat the peerless battle physique and combat strength. What was it? What did the other party use? Chapter 27:12. No, this was impossible. The people from the war race went even crazier. That was their number one genius. He had never been defeated since his debut. In recent years he had swept through the true spirit world. Apart from Yi Wudao and the Alcade Saint, the number one genius had fought many peerless geniuses in the past few years. However, he had easily defeated them. Once he used his peerless body, nothing could stop him. But now, not only had he been defeated, but he had also been killed. How could they explain this? The battle tribe would probably go crazy. Thinking of this, the battle tribe warriors all knelt on the ground and roared at the sky. You dare to kill our number one genius? You're dead. Kid, our battle tribe will never let you go. These people stared at Lin Xian as if they had gone crazy. Xian snorted coldly. He stood in the void, his black hair fluttering in the wind. The biting cold sword energy on his body was still there. He looked down, causing the martial artist standing below to vomit blood. It was too sharp. A single look from him could kill them. No, that didn't seem to be his real body. It was a clone. Finally, a living fossil cried out in alarm. His eyes emitted mysterious runes as he stared at the corpse in the sky that had been cut in half. What? Hearing this, the older generation, saints and other geniuses all turned to look. Was it really a clone? Why couldn't they see it? It clearly had flesh, blood, and organs. How could it be a clone? Yes, wasn't a clone condensed from energy? Wouldn't it dissipate after death? This clone didn't have that either. A clone with a peerless body is different from the one you know. This is a clone condensed from bloodline power. Its combat strength wasn't weaker than the main bodies, and it also had a peerless body. It was just equivalent to having 2 more lives. If the clone was killed, the main body wouldn't be affected. What, there was such a thing? The Grand Xia Prince and the others gasped. Did the battle tribe have such a heaven-defying ability? All of a sudden they all looked at the battle tribe warriors. The experts of the war tribe were also trembling with excitement. Yes, it was a clone. The number one genius had cultivated a clone. It wasn't the main body. Great. They heaved a sigh of relief. Although the number one prodigy had been defeated and they were surprised and upset, they still had hope as long as their true bodies were not killed. If even a clone is this powerful, doesn't that mean the number one heaven's favorite's original form is already heaven-defying? Lin Xian probably wouldn't be able to withstand the attack of the enemy's true body. That's right. The other martial artists were shocked. However, a living fossil shook its head. Now you guessed wrong. Even though the true body of the number one genius was strong, it wasn't that much stronger than this clone. After all, he had spent a great deal of effort and the power of his bloodline to refine the clone. It already possessed a lot of fine flesh. Therefore, even if the true body of the number one prodigy was here, it was hard to say who would win if he fought with Lin Xian. What? So this was the situation. Hearing this, everyone understood. This clone was not much different from the true body of the number one genius. Lin Xian was indeed incomparably terrifying. A doppelganger. Lin Xian snorted coldly. It seemed that the number one prodigy was still alive. But so what? If he dared to come, Lin Xian would kill him with his sword. The combat power of the main body and the clone was not much different. Therefore, even if the opponent's true body came, Lin Xian was not afraid. He waved his sword and slashed at the 9-story pagoda. The saint's hand lock and flower protector attacked, causing the pagoda's light to dim. Lin Xian took out a set of array formations and directly enveloped the 9-story pagoda before putting it away. Oh, damn brat, how dare you! The people of the war tribe were furious and roared crazily. The pagoda was a half-step sage artifact with terrifying power. It was their precious treasure. Now it was snatched away by someone else. How could they tolerate it? However, in the next moment these people were sent flying. Lin Xian's gaze made them tremble again. Go back and tell your number one heaven stage cultivator to come here and die. Lin Xian's cold voice resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Those people's scalps went numb. This matter swept out like a gust of wind. In an instant, everyone in the central continent knew about it. Before long, everyone in the true spirit world knew about it. When they heard that the number one heaven's pride had been killed, they were extremely shocked. When they learned that it was only a clone that had been killed, they were all stupefied. When they learned that the strength of the clone was no weaker than the main body, they all boiled over. This was equivalent to the number one heaven's pride dying once. Even if the main body went, he might not be able to defeat the other party. as expected of the Central Emperor. Had he already defied the heavens to such an extent? That was a peerless battle physique. It was famous in ancient times and it was born for battle. Yet it had been killed by the other party. For a moment the discussion about Lin Xian was very intense. His limelight directly overshadowed Yi Wudao, South Emperor, West Buddha, and the others. It could be said that he had become the most dazzling peerless genius on the True Spirit continent. The array masters far away in the Qinling Mountains, the elders of the Great Sage Land, and the Saint Lords also heard the news. They were all shocked. The Dark Red Dragon, the chief enforcer, and the others cried out in surprise, and then they all laughed. Was this brat already this strong? The Dark Red Dragon was very happy. Damn it, they had to hurry up and break the array. The other great sects also sucked in a breath of cold air. They looked at the people of Immortal Palace with extreme shock. The elders of the battle race were so angry that they vomited blood. 2 of them directly fainted. Damn it, our number 1 Heaven's Pride didn't lose. That's right, the one killed was a clone. Our number 1 Heaven's Pride's main body is much stronger than the clone. The battle race martial artists gnashed their teeth. However, there were also many people who sneered. Bah, strong my ass. There was a living fossil that told us about this long ago. The strength of the clone and the main body were not much different. Even if the main body was strong, it wouldn't be too heaven-defying. That's right, get your number 1 Heaven's Pride to come out. Look at our great god Lin Xian, he won't be able to defeat him. Lin Xian's battle had gained him many admirers. These people were all young martial artists. They yearned for Heaven's Pride, yearned for heroes, and yearned for the peak of martial Tao. Lin Xian had defeated the number 1 Heaven's Pride, and his fame was like the sun. These small martial artists worshipped him greatly. Therefore, at this moment, when they heard the clamor of the battle race people, they fought back crazily. What number 1 Heaven's Pride? You're not our great god Lin Xian's opponent at all. That's right, our great god Lin Xian is the Central Emperor. You're the number 1 Heaven's Pride, but can you get the title of Central Emperor? The person who ranked this was truly a genius. He was probably a peerless figure who understood the past and present. He had already ranked this long ago. So, what number 1 Heaven's Pride? Stop struggling. All kinds of mocking words rang out, and the battle race martial artists directly vomited blood. Chapter 27:13. This was a slap in the face, a slap in the face. The people from the war tribe were also surprised. They hadn't reacted yet, but these cultivators had spontaneously helped them. It was really surprising. Lin Xian was also dumbfounded when he saw this. Brother Xian, it seems that you've gained a lot of supporters. Murong Qingqing covered her mouth and chuckled. Shen Jingxiu ran over and pulled Lin Xian's hand. Brother Lin Xian, I'm your biggest supporter. Although the battle was over, the discussion never dissipated. Instead, it became more and more intense. In the Yi family, Yi Wudao was also surprised when he heard the news. Brother Lin, you're already so strong? I'm really looking forward to fighting with you. His eyes shone brightly. He also wanted to fight with this peerless physique. He was originally a sacred physique, and his name shook the continent. Of course, there were other physiques on the same level as him, such as the 9 Yang Divine Physique. They were all famous physiques. However, these physiques were very heaven-defying. For thousands of years, it was unknown how many of them had appeared. It was rare for them to appear at the same time. This time, 3 of them appeared at the same time. The coexistence of 3 divine physiques made many of the older generation exclaim. The Golden Age had really arrived. When the Alcade Saint received the news, his body also bloomed with bright light. Lin Xian, the number 1 genius. His eyes were also full of fighting spirit. In the vast mountains, the mysterious blue-robed man was sitting there. When he heard the news, he also frowned. It was really surprising that he could defeat the number 1 genius. To be honest, he was very surprised. Although the other party had the 9 Yang Divine Physique, he didn't think that the other party could maintain the title of Middle Emperor. The reason why he had placed Qin Nan in such a position was so that the number 1 genius would be able to kill him. But now, the other party's combat strength was really beyond his expectations. This guy must have secrets that we don't know. He must find out. Apart from the 9 Yang Divine Physique, what other secrets did he have? The mysterious blue-robed man's eyes were gloomy. All sorts of discussions continued. Lin Xian did not leave. He had already sent out an invitation to the world group to battle. Therefore, even though he had defeated the number 1 prodigy, he had no intention of leaving. However, he was surprised to see that the geniuses from other continents had rushed over. There were many powerful experts, but none of them made a move. There was nothing they could do about it. Previously, when they came here, they were full of confidence, thinking that they could kill the Central Emperor. However, when they arrived and learned that the number one prodigy had been killed, they all hesitated, terrified. That was a peerless battle constitution. If they couldn't even defeat the other party, would they have any chance of winning? These people didn't make a move, they just waited silently. More and more saints gathered in the middle ground. This made all the martial artists excited. They were all discussing whether there was a genius who was even more terrifying than the number one genius. The number one genius was already at the top of the younger generation. There weren't many who were stronger than him, but there were a few who were on par with him. The Daoyi saint of the Daoyi Holy Land was rumored to have a mysterious physique that could fuse with the Dao. Although he didn't fight much, no one dared to underestimate him. Yes, the Alcade saint was also extremely terrifying. In the eastern wilderness, he was as famous as the saint physique. The Jade Lake Saintess and Wuxia Saintess were also rumored to have mysterious bloodlines. However, they had an extraordinary relationship with Lin Xian, so it was impossible for them to fight. In the middle ground, the prince of the skyscraper was extremely powerful. Although he came, he didn't make a move. However, I guess his strength is not weaker than the number one genius. Yes, the Ninely Crown Prince of the Ninely Dynasty also has a terrifying divine physique. The Divine Wind Dynasty's goddess. It was rumored that she was extremely mysterious and had never been defeated so far. There were also some hidden families and ancient sects that didn't appear. The world was too vast and there were countless experts. No one knew when one would appear. Indeed, he had heard of Central Emperor Lin Xian before. It was a new force that had emerged in recent years. Who knew if another heaven-defying monster like this would appear in a few years' time? Everyone was discussing animatedly, and some nosy people were screaming. I really hope that these titled geniuses will fight. Yes, I want to see who is stronger between the divine physique and the divine physique of Nanyang. I want to see what kind of mysterious person the North Demon is. I heard that the South Emperor had obtained the inheritance of a great emperor. I wonder if he is stronger than the Central Emperor and the Eastern Sage? I don't know, but I think that guy from the West Buddha is more terrifying. He is the reincarnation of an ancient Buddha. The crowd was in a heated discussion. They realized that none of the 5 titled battle pet warriors would be able to tell who was more powerful until the battle began. Everyone was discussing as they waited. About 5 or 6 days later, the sky suddenly rolled. Half of the demonic aura and the other half of the holy light illuminated the sky. It was as if a demon had come out. Heavens, what a terrifying aura. Who is it? A terrifying genius has arrived. It's the twin kings of the middle ground. He actually appeared again. Wasn't he defeated by Lin Xian before? That was indeed the case. However, from the looks of it, he should have come out of seclusion. His current aura was much more powerful than before. Speaking of which, the twin kings were also monsters. The power of light and darkness went hand in hand. If they could perfectly fuse, they would definitely be a terrifying enemy. That's right, the people who came were indeed the twin kings of the middle ground. They had directly broken through to the level of a top saint during their seclusion. Moreover, they had also mastered a powerful technique, which was to fuse their power attributes and form a picture of light and darkness. Its power was incomparably terrifying. Therefore, they were very confident this time and came to challenge Lin Xian. Kit, I'm here again. Die obediently. The moment the twin kings of the middle ground arrived, they looked around disdainfully and stared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You don't know what's good for you. It seems that you don't repent after I spared you last time. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Xian stood up. The others were discussing spiritedly. Can the twin kings of the middle ground win? I don't think so. Even the number one genius was split in half, let alone them. What? The number one genius was split in half. Hearing that, the twin kings were stunned. They did not immediately attack. Instead, they looked around. What did you say? When did that happen? The surrounding people trembled. They were no match for the twin kings, so they quickly told them what happened. After the twin kings heard that, their expressions became extremely ugly. They were even about to cry. That was because they had fought with the number one genius before, and they were completely defeated at that time. They were no match for him on the first day. But now, the number one genius was actually split in half by the kid in front of them. Didn't that mean that if the kid wanted to kill them, it would only take a single sword strike? Chapter 27:14. Wait. Hearing that, Lin Xian frowned. What's that guy doing? The others were also very puzzled. Countless gazes looked at the middle ground twin kings. The twin kings' expressions were ugly. They wished they could find a piece of tofu and kill themselves. However, they did not want to be killed. Well, we've come to the wrong battlefield. We're not looking for you this time. Goodbye. As he said that, he turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the void. He left? Everyone's minds went blank. They could not react. What's going on? The twin kings came aggressively, but they left without making a single move? They were probably scared off by the news of the number one prodigy. That's what I think. Humph, how dare you challenge our great god Lin Xian with this kind of strength? You really don't know what's good for you? Lin Xian's supporters sneered. The others were also stunned. It seemed that they were really scared off. Even Lin Xian's mouth twitched. That works too? That doesn't match their personalities? In his opinion, the poison twin kings were very violent, cruel, and not very smart. Even if they knew it was dangerous, they would still fight with their lives on the line. He did not expect them to be afraid of death. How could he know that the battle between him and the number one prodigy was too shocking? Probably not many people dared to attack him now. Next 1 month, 2 months. Lin Xian kept waiting. However, no one had ever made a move against him. This made him feel a little bored. In the end, he stood up. Since no one attacked, I'm leaving. Everyone looked at each other, but in the end, no one dared to attack. Lin Xian was too domineering. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian also shook his head and left. He brought Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingqing back to the Immortal Palace. Anyway, these two were his women and they were not outsiders. After Lin Xian left, the other saints and prodigies also left. Battle Tribe. In a cave abode, a figure opened his eyes. His body was shining with light and an incomparably mysterious aura. He was officially the number one prodigy. However, at this moment, his expression was abnormally malevolent, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. A boom could be heard as he charged out of the Immortal's cave, throwing his head back and roaring. That damn Lin Xian. I'll kill you. I will definitely kill you. Naturally, he knew that his clone had been killed. However, he didn't expect that his clone would actually be killed. One had to know that it wasn't an ordinary clone. It was equivalent to his life. More importantly, it was a clone. What he practiced was an extremely terrifying cultivation technique, and this clone was extremely important to him. But now he was actually killed, making him fall short of success. In the end, he was unable to master the divine art. He was driven mad. He swore that he would definitely kill the other party. Cut the other party into 1,000 pieces to relieve the hatred in his heart. However, now was not the time. Because he was suffering from the backlash of the technique, he needed to recuperate and recover from his injuries. Just you wait. When I come out of seclusion, it will be the time of your death. The number one Heaven's Chosen gritted his teeth and returned to his cave abode. The people of the war tribe also had gloomy expressions. They all wanted to send out invincible kings to kill the other party. Not only them, but the other powerful forces and those who had a grudge against Lin Xian also wanted to send invincible kings to kill him. There was no other way. Lin Xian had displayed the potential of a young great emperor. If such a person continued to grow, his future would be limitless. If he really became a great emperor, then those sacred grounds and sects that had offended him before would probably be directly erased. That was something they couldn't bear. Therefore, they wanted to kill him. However, the invincible kings they sent out were directly killed before they could find Lin Xian. Even their souls couldn't escape. This scene made all the sacred grounds who wanted to kill him tremble. Damn it, there was a peerless expert protecting him. Perhaps in the future, even if they wanted to kill him, they would have to do it secretly. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to hurt him at all. Instead, they would be killed by the experts around him. In the blink of an eye, another year had passed. In this year, the reputation of Lin Xian and the other four swept across the continent. However, in this year, no one dared to challenge the 5 of them. Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and Shen Jingqiu stayed for 2 months. Then he went into seclusion. Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu also went into seclusion. This was a golden age. They had to increase their strength to survive in this golden age. Otherwise, they would only become a stepping stone for others. After Lin Xian went into seclusion, he took out the 9-story pagoda and used the heavenly secret god eyes to forcefully erase the other party's soul imprint. Then he planted his own soul imprint. The 9-story pagoda's power was terrifying. If he didn't have the saint's hand lock and flower protector, it would be difficult for him to block it. In the future, with this item, his trump card would be even stronger. Moreover, the flames in the pagoda made him even more tempted. This item was the best treasure to temper the 9 yang divine body. This divine fire was a great threat to him in the past. With his current physique he couldn't completely resist it. However, he could rely on the divine fire to increase the power of his physique. Next, Lin Xian waved his hand, and the 9-story pagoda continued to expand. He entered the first level and was enveloped by endless flames. The flames were too terrifying. They directly burned Lin Xian's skin and flesh, causing him to bleed profusely. If anyone saw this scene they would definitely faint from shock. This was the process of cultivating the 9-yang divine body. It was too cruel, too cruel. However, his power was also very strong. Sure enough, Lin Xian circulated the cultivation laws of the 9-yang divine body. Those broken bodies slowly healed. Moreover, they became even stronger. It was overflowing with light. However, his body soon split open again and then recovered. Just like that, he cultivated over and over again. Every time he recovered, his physique would become a little stronger. He slowly set off towards the 6th stage of the first level. A year later, Immortal Palace received news from Qinling Mountain. The elders in Immortal Palace were extremely shocked and hurriedly sent a message to Lin Xian. Lin Xian slowly walked out of the 3rd level of the 9-story pagoda. The aura on his body had become even stronger. In this year, countless fractures and recoveries had caused his divine body to finally advance by another stage, reaching the 6th stage of the 1st level. Palace Master, there's news from the front. Those elders quickly reported. Lin Xian walked out, put on a black Taoist robe and came to the Star Palace. He received the news from the front, and his eyes burned with a fiery light. Has it been opened? According to our investigation, the nest of 10,000 dragons is very large. Other than the nest of 10,000 dragons itself, there are several other nests guarding it. Thinking about it, they should be the guardians of the dragons. Right now, we are opening the tomb of one of the guardians, not the nest of 10,000 dragons. However, according to our speculation, the tomb of this guardian is also very powerful, not weaker than the tomb of the saint from before. There are actually guardians. Moreover, the guardians are so powerful. As expected of the nest of 10,000 dragons, the place where dragons gather. Chapter 27:15. Even if it was a guardian's lair, they wouldn't miss it. After all, anything related to the nest of 10,000 dragons was definitely shocking. It wasn't just Immortal Palace. At this moment, all the Holy Lands and top organizations in the true spirit world received the news from Qinling Mountain. They were all excited as they reorganized their troops and prepared to set off for Qinling Mountain. The world was once again in an uproar. Qinling Mountain. The dark red dragon and the others raised their heads and looked ahead at the lair that was blooming with light. Their eyes flickered. So far we have detected 5 guardians' lairs, and this is only the first guardian. The nest of 10,000 dragons is really shocking. Yes, it would take several years just to crack these guardians' ancient tombs. Opening the nest of 10,000 dragons would probably take even longer. Even if it takes 100 years or 200 years. We must get it out. This is definitely an endless treasure. If we get it, we will be rich. These array masters and elders were filled with excitement. Crack, crack. In the sky, countless large cracks flickered as Tao patterns gathered, forming a terrifying black vortex. In that vortex, figures appeared one after another. These people were naturally the powerhouses from the great sage world's major sects that had rushed over. They quickly landed and met up with the cultivators from their holy lands. Palace Master. The Great Guardian and the others also saw Lin Xian and hurriedly greeted him. Lin Xian landed with a group of powerhouses from Immortal Palace, and the dark red dragon also walked up. Kid, your aura has become stronger again. How is it? Which guardian's lair has been opened? Lin Xian said with a smile. In the distance, the dark red dragon flew up and pointed ahead. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as a golden light appeared in his eyes as he looked into the distance. Then he was extremely surprised. What dense spiritual energy. That's right, this was still overflowing. One could imagine how dense the spiritual energy inside was. However, the dark red dragon sighed. Damn it, I can't go. I have to preside over the array formation here and continue to crack it. Don't worry, if there are treasures I will definitely get them for you. Lin Xian said. The dark red divine dragon nodded. Indeed, although the guardian's nest was tempting, its ultimate goal was still the nest of 10,000 dragons. He was not the only one. Most of the array masters had not left. They were still trying their best to crack the array. The Holy Land powerhouses who had rushed over were all preparing to enter. Let's go. Seeing the black holes in the sky, Lin Xian didn't hesitate. With a wave of his hand he led a few protectors and a group of experts in. After entering, he dragged the little white monkey out. The little white monkey was the best at finding treasures. One's own Linny. As soon as the little white monkey came out, it danced with joy and excitement. The others were even more shocked. What a rich spiritual energy. I can feel the chi and blood in my body boiling. As expected of a land of treasures, it was indeed powerful. The martialist who came in laughed maniacally. The saints were also shocked. I won't hold back anymore. A young man in luxurious clothes looked up to the sky and laughed. Devouring the starry sky. Above his head, a chaotic starry sky appeared and quickly turned into a vortex, madly devouring the surrounding spirit chi. Look at me. Another powerhouse transformed into 9 tiger heads and crazily absorbed the spirit chi. Everyone used their ultimate skills and crazily absorbed the spirit chi here. Lin Xian also started. In the dragon sword domain, a dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared and also absorbed a large amount of energy. Previously, Lin Xian could only improve slowly. However, in such a place with so many treasures, he wouldn't hold back. The longevity art in his body was fully activated. All the spiritual energy was focused on the great dragon sword soul. The great dragon sword soul let out a loud dragon roar. It was as if it had come alive and kept moving. It even began to absorb the spirit chi himself. As he absorbed the spiritual energy, all the spiritual energy in the surroundings turned into waves and swept towards him. This scene was too terrifying. It shocked the surrounding people and they all roared. Damn it, who dares to steal my spirit chi? Don't let me find out or I'll wring your head off. Stop it. Angry roars sounded one after another. Everyone looked around. Soon they found the source. It's that guy. Damn it, what kind of skill did he use to absorb the spirit chi so violently? I'm affected by him. Damn it, I can't absorb the spirit chi either. Go kill him. Angry roars sounded one after another. Among them there were many supreme powerhouses and geniuses. However, when they came to the side of the figure, they were so scared that they trembled and almost fell from the sky. What, it's him? It's actually him. Damn it, it's Lin Xian of the Central Emperor. Run. Don't do anything to him or we'll be dead. These people retreated crazily, their faces full of fear. Lin Xian turned his head and looked at these people coldly. Then he said indifferently, Is there a problem? No. These people hurriedly shook their heads. Previously they were aggressive but now they were as docile as lambs. Sir Central Emperor, we didn't disturb your cultivation, did we? We'll leave now. Yes, we'll go to other places to absorb the spirit chi. Sir Central Emperor, please don't worry about us. These people hurriedly fled. In an instant, except for the martial artists of Immortal Palace, everyone else around Lin Xian left. No one dared to stay by Lin Xian's side. This made Lin Xian very satisfied. The martial artists of Immortal Palace were shocked. Many of them had been in Immortal Palace all this time. Although they had heard of Lin Xian's battle achievements, they were still shocked when they saw it with their own eyes. The palace master was so impressive. No one dared to provoke the palace master now. The palace master didn't even need to make a move. Just a look was enough to scare these powerhouses away. They were too excited. Lin Xian waved his hand and said, Everyone start absorbing. We'll absorb as we go. Indeed, the spirit chi here was rich and fragrant. There were also other treasures. After Lin Xian and the others left, more and more people came in. Dian's Sacred Ground, Four Symbols Sacred Ground, Daoyi Sacred Ground, White Horse Temple, Orchid Temple, Myriad Buddha Temple, Myriad Poison Cult. Wang Family, Du Family, Zhao Family. Demon Imperial Palace, Tai Dynasty and so on. All the top forces had sent experts and geniuses. As soon as they came in they were wild with joy. Too terrifying spirit chi. Hurry up and absorb. Set off quickly. There were definitely shocking treasures ahead. These people moved quickly. They were like locusts, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they flew past. With more treasures there were more people, so there was more friction. Finally, someone couldn't help but make a move. In front there was a fiery wind tree. Divine flames jumped on it, followed by fiery phoenix fruits that looked like real phoenixes. This was a spiritual object of heaven and earth. It had rich fire attribute and powerful strength. It could be said to be extinct in the outside world. Unexpectedly, it appeared here. Moreover, there were hundreds of them. Chapter 27:16. Sizzle. Screams rang out as dozens of cultivators turned into white smoke and fell from the sky. However, halfway through, they had completely melted. What terrifying corrosion! Who was using poison? In the distance, those people were terrified. They all activated their king domains to cover their bodies. The light from their bodies pierced through the surroundings. Damn it, who is it? Get out here. Haha, a bunch of ants dare to target the firewind tree? More than a dozen black-robed men walked out. The one in front was a black-robed youth. He was handsome and had a devilish expression. He was playing with a purple centipede in his hand, and there were a few poisonous snakes coiling around his body. The poison sect. The poison sect's saint. Their pupils constricted. Since you know that our saint has arrived, why aren't you scramming? The poison sect's people shouted coldly. The firewind tree is ours. So what if you're the poison sect's saint? Do you really think we're afraid of you? We were careless before. That's right, we have more people. I don't believe that we can't defeat you. There were many cultivators from the sacred grounds who had joined forces, and there were many peerless experts among them. They snorted coldly and all stood out. The poison sect's saint was not enough to make them retreat. After all, the firewind tree could no longer be found outside. It would be a great loss if they missed this opportunity. Heaven's thunder palm. An expert walked out and sent out a palm. Thunder rumbled. Behind him, there was even an endless sea of lightning. This palm was too terrifying. It covered the sky and covered a part of the sky. It even covered a few fiery wind trees. 9 Heaven's divine sword. Someone waved his sword and sword light flashed in the sky. It was as if divine light had descended from the 9 heavens. It was extremely terrifying. In an instant, many powerhouses made their moves, all of them charging towards the myriad poison order. The poison sect's people snorted and the poison sect's saint smiled coldly. You don't know what's good for you. I'll send you to hell. Baby, it's up to you. Facing the terrifying attacks, the poison sect's saint did not move. Instead, he spoke to the purple centipede in his palm. The purple centipede was very intelligent. When it heard this, it turned into purple lightning and instantly charged out. Puff puff puff. Soon screams sounded. The surrounding cultivators all widened their eyes, and their bodies trembled as their auras disappeared. Their necks had been bitten by the purple centipedes. In an instant they were poisoned. Their bodies stiffened and they fell from the sky. Damn it, he's actually so strong. Run quickly. This purple centipede was an incomparably terrifying demon king. The martial artists in the surroundings fled as if they had gone mad. This was because someone had already recognized it. It was a 7-star centipede, one of the most terrifying types of poisonous creatures. After being nurtured by the holy son of myriad poisons, he had probably become a terrifying poison king. Even peerless almighties could not withstand it, let alone them. The surrounding people fled as if they had gone mad. However, the saint son of myriad poisons merely laughed coldly. Don't run. Go to hell for me. The purple centipede dashed forward at lightning speed, and everyone fell to the ground due to the poison. In an instant there was no one in the surrounding space. Only the people from the myriad poison sect were still sneering. You really don't know what's good for you. How dare you go against our myriad poison cult? The myriad poison saint turned his head and stared at the fire maple tree below. A fiery light appeared in his eyes. 7-star centipede, I didn't expect you to have such a poison king. How surprising. However, it's useless to me. I'll give you a chance to live. Take your people and get lost. A delicate shout came from the sky. Who's that? You're courting death. The people from the myriad poison sect were instantly enraged. The saint son of myriad poison's expression darkened. He stared into the distance and pierced through the void. Just now, he had killed so many powerhouses with just a centipede. Could be said that his methods were very vicious. But now, someone was looking for trouble with him. They were courting death. Who is it? Could it be those 5 people? The powerhouses of the myriad poison sect were also decent. If it was those 5 from the Central Imperial Academy, it would be troublesome. No, it's a woman's voice. There were no women among the 5 top prodigies. It's probably some saintess. So what if she's a saintess? If she dares to come, I'll kill her. How arrogant. You want to kill me? I'm afraid you don't have the ability. The void was torn apart and a graceful figure descended. Beside her were 3 martial artists. There were very few of them. This scene surprised the saint son of myriad poison. The people from the myriad poison sect even sneered. You dare to be arrogant in front of us with so few people? You really don't know what's good for you. Boss. As soon as they finished speaking, their expressions changed drastically, and they frantically retreated. The woman suddenly descended in front of them. An extremely terrifying fluctuation surged from her body. In her hand, a sword light that was 10,000 meters long flashed. It tore through the void and descended from the sky. A terrifying storm swept through the surroundings, covering the entire sky. This sword slashed directly at the powerhouses of the myriad poison sect. Those powerhouses vomited blood and flew backward. Some were even slashed apart. They retreated far away before they recovered with difficulty. In the next moment, they looked forward with a crazed expression. "Damn it, how dare you sneak attack us?" "Sneak attack you? Hurry up and get lost. I'm in a good mood or else I'll kill all of you." "Princess, which dynasty are you from?" the saint's son of myriad poison asked with a frown. That sword strike just now also took his breath away. It was obvious that the other party was also a saint. "How can a mere dynasty be compared to my family?" The woman was very proud. "I'm South Thearka's sister. You can call me the princess." The young girl's voice sounded with boundless arrogance. Hearing this, the expressions of the people of the myriad poison sect changed. The princess. They all thought that she was a descendant of the Arch. However, they soon realized that she was not. She should be from the Yen family and she was very close to Yen Nantian. Damn it, could she be Yen Nanshan's sister? "That's right, I'm Yen Nanshan's sister. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and get lost. Otherwise, when my brother comes, all of you will die." Yen Feiyu's expression was arrogant. She did not take the myriad poison sect seriously at all. How arrogant. Saint Wandu's face was gloomy. If Yen Nantian came personally, he would really turn around and leave. However, this was only his sister. She wanted to use the name of South the Arch to scare him away? How is that possible? He was not someone to be trifled with. "You want me to leave? Speak with your true strength." The 7-star centipede in the Saint Wandu's hand flickered with a demonic light. "Humph, a piece of trash like you doesn't need my brother to do anything. I can kill you myself." Yen Feiyu snorted coldly and quickly attacked. The sword light that filled the sky danced and slashed toward the Saint Wandu. "You're courting death." The Saint Wandu was furious. He was a saint. When had he ever been looked down upon like this? In the next moment, he urged the 7-star centipede to attack. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.